अपना फोन से ज्वाइन किया मैंने जी, 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 अपना फोन से ज्वाइन
The minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Limbach, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Vote aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett? Aye. Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
And Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Thank you. This is the time that we do call to public. Pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute, Section 38-431.01H, this is an opportunity for the public to comment. Individuals are invited to address the commission on any issue within the commission's jurisdiction. Since commissioners may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda, commission action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. I do have one speaker request form, Mr. Dan Baker. Are you with us online, Mr. Baker? Mr. Baker calling
Oh,
third time?
that's right.
All right, sir, I think we'll pass. Is there anyone else that would like to do call to public? Hearing none. Let's move to the regular agenda.
Madam Chair, this is Albert Young.
Who is this, sir?
Ma'am, this is Albert Young, Madam Chair.
Oh, Mr. Young, glad to hear you're with us. Thank you, sir.
There were some issues with audio at the beginning. I was logged in, but I am present.
Thank you very much. Duly noted.
Thank you.
Are we going to do the action item first, Mr. Taylor? We can save it if you prefer.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, Madam Chair, if we were going to do that before the public hearings or after, but you want to tackle it?
You know, I think I would prefer to do the public hearings first, but it was listed first, so let's reverse that order.
Okay.
All right, then. So our first docket item is SU 25-06. It's an RV park. Applicant is Julie Wyckoff. Are you present, Ms. Wyckoff? Thank you. Mr. Taylor, your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 25-06, a special use authorization request for a recreational vehicle park. Property owner is Julie Wyckoff. The property is located at 908-912 Landa Lane. That would be north of Benson. APN 208590003F. The property totals about 24 acres. Zoning is RU4. The plan designations are rural. Current use is a manufactured home and a small 5-space RV park. The applicant proposes an 8-space RV park. Again, the property is located about 1.5 miles north of Benson. Property is surrounded by parcels also zoned RU4, with most of those being undeveloped. The property does abut the San Pedro River and is bound to the west by state land. The applicant has provided 2 site plans, one showing the existing layout of the property with the 5 RV spaces and a manufactured home that dates to 2001. There's also a Quonset hut on the property. The proposed use is to remove the manufactured home and add 3 spaces for a total of 8 spaces on the property. Recreational vehicle parks are defined in the zoning regulations as having 3 or more RV sites. These sites can include tents and portable shelters also. Within rural districts, the requirement is that these parks fit within the rural landscape using a clustered design concept. to maximize open space and also preserve, to the extent possible, drought-tolerant vegetation and add additional vegetation in the event that there's a loss of vegetation with the development. Section 2.51 also identifies 14 specific development standards for manufactured home and RV parks. The applicant, given the nature of the park, it complies with most of these with the exception of density. So the applicant is requesting a waiver for 2 spaces more than the zoning district would allow. This is an image of the property. This would be viewing to the east. This is a Ocotillo Road in the foreground. This just gives an idea of how far the property is off of Ocotillo Road. It's approximately close to a mile off the road. This is additional view east with the RV park in the foreground and the agricultural uses in the distance. It's a little bit closer view of the property with the mobile home, manufactured home, and the RV spaces to the right of Land Lane with the Quonset hut on the left-hand side. And a closer shot, again, with the manufactured home and the Quonset hut to the top of the screen with the RV spaces going down in the center. And one additional angle. This would be viewing to the east as well. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors to evaluate special use requests. 7 factors apply to this application. Factors in favor. The application does comply with the applicable factors with conditions. The approved special use would legitimize an existing recreational vehicle park. The park is currently a clustered low-impact rural residential use as intended by the zoning regulations, and staff did not receive any opposition from nearby property owners. Staff has not identified any factors not in favor. The applicant did, as part of the requirements of the zoning regulations, mail out letters based on a notification list provided by the county. Those letters went out on 14 March. Staff followed that up with publishing legal ad, posting the property, and mailing notices between 11 and 16 April. Staff did mail 5 notices to property owners within 1,200 feet. We did receive an inquiry from the Tres Alamos Community Alliance, but did not receive any responses in favor or opposition. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 2506, special use request for a recreational vehicle park. We are available for the Commission's questions, and as you know, the applicant is present. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. This is the time for the applicant's statement. Ms. Wyckoff?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, please say your name and address before you begin.
Okay, my name is Julie Wyckoff. My address is 895 West Running Bird Lane, Benson, Arizona, 85602. And so we live right next door to this property. We're immediately north of it, across the Cornfield Canyon Wash. We've lived there about 24 years. And then we were lucky enough to acquire this property when our neighbor moved. I think it was about 2009. Over the years, there were existing RV sites, which we then put to use, as we do, with friends and family. And as time went by, it's harder and harder to get them to leave. So this is where we're at now. So we wanted to address the issue of legitimization of it. Basically, as we've had people there, we do maintain some rules. We don't like to hear them, and we don't want to hear dogs, and we don't want things going on like that. So we do maintain a quiet sites. Basically, if we had to put times on it, it would probably be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., but all the time. Also, no fires allowed, no campfires, no trash burning, nothing like that. We expect them to keep the sites clean and neat as well as we do to maintain safety from all the animals, and we don't want those additional residents moving in, such as rattlesnakes and javelina, of course. Also for fire safety purposes. We like it to be low impact. We maintain only the roads so they do not go off the roads. There's no driving off the roads on the natural desert at all. That to help keep erosion down and dust control. Also, it's pretty, right? Fire safety, we contacted Benson Fire and Pomerene. We do know Pomerene comes out to us, and Benson confirmed that they also do as well. However, in leaning towards safety. We have water spigots at every site with very good pressure, but we thought we could also add larger fire extinguishers present on the property in a few places so they could be, utilized should anything ever occur. As far as the road coming in, we maintain that road. We have equipment to keep it good if the monsoon comes flowing through, and we also keep it trimmed and widened for that purposes. We have the land lease through that. We have the lease for the grazing lease, as well as the right-of-way permit that goes through there. We did contact Arizona State Land Department, and it was followed up by Matthew whether or not they had any issue with what we're doing, and they said there was no issue at this time, so that's good. Basically, our goal in removing the manufactured home is insurance. It's harder to get insurance with it on the property as it would be to not have it on the property, unfortunately. So it would be a clean and neat situation. Let's see. I think I've got everything covered, so we really appreciate your guys' consideration and happy to have any questions answered. We did have one more thing. We did have one person come out and take a look at the property by the name of Paul, and he gave us a 2 thumbs up, so that was good. Any questions?
We'll call you back if there are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is the time to hear from the public. I do not have any speaker request forms. Is there anyone online or in the audience that wishes to speak before we move on? Hearing none. This would be the time for the applicant's response. I'm assuming you'll waive that, Ms. Wyckoff. Thank you. The public portion is now closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Do you all have any questions for staff or the applicant?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Saunders.
Yeah, you referred to state land. Is this deeded property or is this state property?
So the property that we own, have the RVs on is deeded property. The property from Ocotillo Road through a state land lease, and we also purchased the right-of-way permit through that state land lease.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Gonzalez.
With the expansion to include additional units on the park, is there any modifications that you have to do on your source of water?
No, we
And-
would, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And trash disposal, how are you going to handle that?
No, the water would be the existing well, and all the existing infrastructure would handle the same, we wouldn't have to add any other electric other than the risers, and we wouldn't have to do anything different with water other than plumb it to the 2 sites. The manufactured home would be removed, and it already has all that as well. And then it would be a shared septic system, which is 1,000 gallons. As far as trash service, we would just continue with the existing trash service that we do, which is us picking it up.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
what restrictions, if any, will you place on length of stay in the RVs, with the RVs?
We would allow them to stay long-term. So what we understand with a lot of places is they only can stay 20 days. Most of these are people who are older and just one single person, and it's hard for them to afford living, in other places. And also they like the privacy and the nature around as opposed to right in Benson. So in our opinion, it would be no limit. However, we would use a 30-day lease in the event we had somebody who was an issue, and that way all we'd have to do is give a 30-day notice for them to vacate.
So it's basically month to month.
It would be month to month with intentions of long-term only.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm good.
I had a question and it went right out of my brain. Mr. Taylor, could we have your summary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, based on the factors in favor, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2506 to allow a recreational vehicle park with the following conditions. Condition 1, the RV park is limited to 8 spaces. Condition 2, quiet hours shall be observed between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. 7 days per week. Condition 3, park area is kept in a sanitary condition to prevent attracting wildlife or pests. And condition number 4, perimeter open space shall be retained and existing vegetation shall be replaced or supplemented with new drought-tolerant vegetation as needed. The standard conditions relative to permitting timelines and modifications remain unchanged. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to call for the motion.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair,
Mr. Markski?
I move to approve docket issue 2506 with condition of approval recommended by staff. Factors in favor of approval constitute the findings of fact.
Thank you. Mr. Limbach?
second, yes.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Is there any further discussion of this motion? Hearing none. Call for the vote. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye, to approve.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett?
Aye.
Mr. Markski?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
The chair also votes aye. Congratulations. An individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or online at cochise.az.gov. Thank you, Ms. Wyckoff. Moving on, docket item SU 25-07. This is an outdoor arena. The applicant is Al Armenta. Are you present, sir? Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor, could we hear your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 2507, special use authorization modification request of docket SU 2314 to change approval of an indoor arena to an open arena for equine-related events. The applicant is Al Armenta. The property is located at 8191 Barataria Boulevard. That would be tax parcel 107620009A. Property totals approximately 21 acres. The property is zoned RU4. Plan designations are also rural. Current use is a feed store with outdoor arena, and those are the proposed future uses as well. Property is located approximately 3 miles southeast of Sierra Vista. The property is also surrounded by, it's generally a rural residential area with single-family residences on parcels of 4 acres or more. The applicant provided a concept plan showing the location of the hay barn as well as the arena itself, also showing secondary access along Barataria, which would be strictly for the arena itself. Just a little bit of background on the previous special use authorization. The Commission approved the authorization. It was a 2-phase project. The first phase would be the hay barn with some additional storage buildings as well as parking and a driveway off of Barataria. Second phase would be a larger building with feed store as well as an indoor arena. There were multiple conditions of approval with those, and as the Commission's aware, the zoning regulations requires a permit to be pulled for the project within the first 12 months. The applicant did pull a right-of-way permit for that primary access point to the hay barn off of Barataria. There is an easement condition as well. We're still working on that. Gravel parking and driveways, traffic analysis at build-out, commercial restrooms and septic system would be required at build-out. A comprehensive site plan for the development as well when we're in the final permitting phase. And those disturbed areas should be stabilized with some sort of a polymer material. So these are some drone images. This would be viewing east with Barataria to the right. And this would be viewing northeast with some of the nearby single-family residences in the foreground. Another view of the property viewing more to the northwest. This one shows the location of the partially built hay barn as well as the arena. This shows that the primary access to the hay barn is actually on an adjacent property also owned by the applicant, and this was one of the conditions of the original special use, was to obtain either dedicated easement from that property, although there are some other options available to the applicant to remedy that. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors to evaluate special use requests. 9 factors apply to this application. Factors in favor of approval: the request complies with applicable factors with conditions, and there is already an approved special use authorization for the parcel. Staff did receive one response in opposition from a nearby property owner. As required by the zoning regulations, the property owner did send out letters using a template as well as a notification list provided by the county. Those letters went out on 13 February. And the county executed its notification process between 11 and 16 April, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad. As mentioned earlier, staff did receive one response in opposition out of the 30 notices mailed to property owners within 750 feet. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket 2507, a modification request of docket SU 2314 to change the approval of an indoor arena to an outdoor arena. We are available for the Commission's questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. This is the time for the applicant's statement. Mr. Armenta, please state your name and address.
My name is Al Armenta. My address 8876 East Hawthorne Lane, Hereford, Arizona, 85615. Matt did a great job. He explained exactly what we're looking to do. Just want to amend this to do our outdoor events. Our outdoor events are always going to be in the daytime. You notice there's no light poles on this arena. We do not plan on doing any nighttime eventing. Everything will be happening in the daytime. Horse people kind of get grumpy if you go past about 2, 3 o'clock in the sun. So we'll get our stuff done nice and early in the morning. These events that we're going to be doing are really geared towards families and children, doing like gymkhanas, some nice events to the point where we can just bring the community together. This was the whole point of this whole project. This, I hope, will be successful enough to move on with the plans that we had talked about in the first meeting, which was to fully cover this arena and have that a success. So we don't know if we can't put that much money to this if the arena itself isn't a success. So we want to just make sure that we have all our bases covered with doing our outdoor arena stuff at the present time.
Thank you.
Questions?
We may call you back for questions.
Thank you.
This is the time to hear from the public. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this docket item? Did you fill out a speaker request form?
Yes.
Could you turn that into staff and then come to the microphone?
Yes.
Please say your name and address, sir, before you give your comments.
Sure. My name is Graham Yost, and I'm at 8804 East Bloomfield in Hereford. And just to open my comments on, I think the second drone shot, actually my wife and I own one of those homes. You can see our driveway in it. And I'll go real quick for everyone's time. I'm in favor of this as a nearby property owner and as a family man whose kids are all riding out there and enjoying events. Personally, I can't think of a better thing to get behind when you think of the way we like to live here in this county and what we want to have for our kids. So I am in favor of this and wanted to state so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there anyone else I missed?
Yeah.
Same routine, please.
So my name is Cody Zedek. I actually work for Outsource Academy, so I get to see the amazing impact that we do already on the community, whether it's for children, adults, making sure that anyone that has fear, disabilities, et cetera, is also being taken care of. But our competition team has an absolute blast. They are able to work with the community. They are able to bring everybody together. and it is an awesome, awesome environment. It is one of the few places that you can go and everyone gets along. So having these events that we've been having, yes, it's going to be awesome when we have the cover, but just to get through what we're doing now, it's awesome to see how many people are together, getting together, coming from different areas. We've got people coming from Douglas, got people coming from Benson, so it's awesome to see what they're able to do. So I'm absolutely in favor for this.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Hearing none? This is the time for the applicant to respond. Do you have anything to say to that, or shall we move forward? Public hearing is now closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Do we have any questions of the applicant or staff?
I may have one.
Mr. Montgomery.
I noticed there is only one letter of opposition, but no reason was included with it. So I don't know what to think about that. The project to me seems like a perfect fit for the area, having lived there for 40 years nearby myself. That is the culture and the character of that area. And I think it's a good fit. I have no questions.
Thank you. Anyone else? I do have a couple questions just for clarity, if you don't mind. You're not doing ropings. You said gymkhana, but no ropings. I don't see any.
No, there's
gates.
no cattle systems out there right now. And
Okay.
again, it's going to be a matter of the success of just the arena itself that'll depend on how we grow.
Okay.
So
And then what about amplified announcing when you do those things?
we have some small speaker systems. They're not up on poles or nothing. They're literally little speakers, and it's just enough for the contestants to be able to hear just around the end of the arena.
And that should be good during the day.
Oh, for sure.
Be cautious when you change that format.
Absolutely. And when we change that, hopefully it'll be covered.
Yeah,
So-
that'll work out great. Thank you, Mr. Armenta.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr.
Oh.
Taylor? Oh, Mr. Limbach.
Sorry.
You have some-
Just real quick, will you have like tiered seating? Where will the community be?
Right now, on this side closest to you of this arena, people catch at lawn chairs and stick them in the trees. So it's wherever you can find a piece of shade to sit, or they'll bring up their pop-up tents and sit around the arena there. So that's what we're doing at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Taylor, your summary and recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2507, modifying docket SU 2314 to allow an outdoor arena with the following conditions. Number one, the outdoor arena events are limited to daylight hours. Condition 2, obtain a right-of-way permit for the secondary arena access along Barataria Boulevard. Condition 3, if primary access to tax parcel 009A is through tax parcel 009E, the applicant shall record an ingress-egress easement. The applicant may also consider combining the tax parcels or adjusting the property boundary in lieu of an easement. Condition number 4, provide a traffic analysis to the county, and this would be a built out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I now would like to call for this motion, please.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach?
I move to approve docket SU 25-07 with conditions of approval recommended by staff. The factors in favor of approval constituting the findings of fact.
And a second? Thank you, Mr. Marevsky. Is there any further discussion? Then it is time to vote. Start with Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Marevsky?
Aye.
Ms. Pickett? Aye. Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye. To approve.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
And Chair also approves. It is unanimous. This docket does pass. Congratulations, Mr. Armenta. An individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or online at cochise.az.gov. Thank you. The next item is SU 25-08. This is truck parking. The applicant is Jenny Henriquez. Are you present? Okay. And is Henriquez the proper way to pronounce your last name? Okay, we'll call you in just a second. Mr. Taylor, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 2508, a special use authorization request to allow semi-truck parking. The applicant is Jenny Henriquez. The property is located at 3281 Monte Vista Trail. This would be off of Mescal Road. The parcel number is 124041010V. Property totals approximately 18 acres. Again, the zoning is RU4. The comprehensive plan designations are also rural. Current use of the property is residential. The proposed use is residential with semi-truck parking. Again, the property is located approximately 1/4 mile west of Mescal Road. It is located within a rural residential area with parcels averaging 4 to 5 acres. The applicant provided a concept plan showing the location of the residence in the approximate center of the property with the proposed parking area at the northeast corner of the property. Some images of the surrounding area. This would be Monte Vista Trail viewing to the north. This would be on the applicant's property. Monte Vista Trail is a public easement that traverses the property. The other parcel is, the other photo is of Acorn Lane, and that would be viewing to the east. These are some images of the site with the existing parking area, with additional gravel there that the applicant would intend to place in the parking area to limit dust. So drone imaging, this is viewing to the north. This would be an image viewing to the northwest, and you can see the red hashed line outlining the area that's been cleared for the truck parking. Another image viewing to the west, again with the red hashed line, showing the closest residence to the right of that area as well as in the foreground. This would be viewing to the east, a portion of the property, as well as Monte Vista Trail, which links to Acorn Lane, and then Acorn Lane goes eastbound approximately 1/4 mile to Mescal Road. And a bit of a close-up of Acorn Lane. And one of the residents, clearly out of concern for dust, has put up a sign encouraging folks to keep their speed down to limit the generation of dust. Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors to evaluate special uses. Seven of those factors apply to this application. Factors in favor of approval include does comply with applicable factors with conditions. Factors not in favor. The truck parking did result in a neighbor complaint and subsequent code action, so there is an active action involving the parking of those vehicles on the property. Additionally, staff has received opposition from nearby property owners to this special use. Per the zoning regulations, the applicant mailed letters to nearby property owners, the notification list being provided by the county. Those letters went out on 10 March. And staff followed up between 11 and 16 April, mailing notices, posting the property, and publishing a legal ad. Staff mailed 29 notices to property owners within 750 feet, receiving 11 responses in opposition. 2 of those property owners that responded have 2 parcels, which accounts for the additional X's on the map. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 2508, a special use authorization request to allow semi-truck parking. We are available for the Commission's question. As you are aware, Madam Chair, the applicant is present.
Thank you. Mr. Henriquez, are you ready, please? Please state your name and address first.
My name is Jose Henriquez. My address is 3281 West Monte Vista Trail, Benson, Arizona, 85602. The reason we used to live in Tucson, Arizona. We moved from California many years ago. We wanted to start a family in Tucson, and we did. Our family grew, and I started trucking my own business in 2017. When I grew a little bit, I went and started paying parking for the trucks in Tucson. It was supposed to be safe, and I was paying around $800 a month. But the thing is that even though it had a gate, it seemed like everyone had the code. And they would steal parts from my trucks, from the trailers, fuel. They stole, broke into the trucks, and during the time of there's a computer in the trucks that if brand new it's worth about $1,000, but at the time of COVID it was worth about $2,000-3,000. So they were stealing the computers. I went through so many things, and my wife and I always thought about living in a peaceful place. So we started looking, because we come from a country that was in civil war. That's why we came to America. We started looking. I've always loved Benson and Sierra Vista, but because of my business, because I work Nogales, in Tucson to California and back. So we started working, and we found this 18.6 acre property. Fell in love with the house, with the surroundings. It was just everything we wanted. And we decided that we want to park our trucks there because it's safe. We don't have to worry about, I even got rid of my cameras. I used to have cameras all over at the house in Tucson, because even though it was a nice community, but I still didn't feel safe. Out here, it's completely different. It's like if it was a different world. I don't know. It's amazing. My plan is put gravel on the property, on the lot where the trucks are going to be parked. Maintain the road, Monte Vista Trail. Also pour gravel on Acorn Lane once a year, and just maintain what. And I also implemented with I have 2 drivers, that I drive 1 truck too. Also, we implemented where we will not drive more than 5 miles an hour, and we will not idle the truck only about 10 minutes, because it's the law. We have to do a pre-trip inspection and a post-trip inspection. Those are the only times that we idle the trucks. So once we start, 5 miles all the way to Mezcal. That's out of respect for any neighbor that we don't want the dust going in. We're willing to do whatever we have to accommodate. There's any recommendations, I'm more than open to hear, and we plan on planting trees also on the property. So like I said, whatever any recommendations, we're open. We're not closed-minded on anything. So my drivers also, when they come in to pick up the trucks, they're instructed to go, because it's their personal vehicle, it's 15 miles an hour. But when it comes to my equipment, it's only 5 miles an hour. And if someone gets behind us, we put the 4-ways to let them pass by, so we don't slow them down. But if they make a recommendation for us to go a little faster or slower, we'll do whatever they recommend. I'm not planning on putting a shop or anything like that in there. It's just the trucks. And we come in, we leave either Sunday or Monday morning, and we don't come back until either Friday night or Saturday morning. The weekend, the trucks are off. And like I said, we spend the whole week on the road. So the only times you see the trucks is on the weekend, but there's special times like when there's no freight, the trucks probably sit for a day or two. When the truck breaks down, then the truck or the trailer is going to sit until I can get it to the shop. Or if a driver gets sick, the truck is going to be parked on the yard. But those will be the exceptions or holidays. The trucks, we're not, like I said, we leave Sundays or Mondays, and then we come back, finish the week by either Friday night or Saturday morning. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the time for public input. I have several forms. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Mr. David Valencia. Name and address, sir, and then you speak.
My name's David Valencia. I live at 3250 West Acorn Lane. That house directly right there on the left side. First of all, I feel the plight. I drove a truck over the road for 6 years, so I know what it's like to be on the road and want to come home and park my truck close. But we're not talking about a single truck. When I look out my back door every weekend, and we're talking up to 5 trucks. Right now, it's 3 trucks. We just moved there too, right just before them, and we bought the place because we want to be rural and we wanted the view of the mountains. Now I'm just looking on every weekend when I'm home, I'm looking at trucks. It's not what I wanted, what I came out there for. The other thing, that Acorn Lane, it has a dip in it. During the monsoon, it's not built for 18-wheelers. During the monsoons, when it rains, it gets flooded. Those trucks are gonna sink it. It's gonna tear the road up. Not built for 18-wheelers. It's just not. They stir up dust. I know he's talking about laying gravel. But it's a high wind area. It all blows into our property. We're in the wind, downwind from everything. We have goats in that building right closest to that, by those cars there, where you got goats, livestock. That interrupts with our livestock now. It's a residential area. He's talking about bringing his commercial business there. Though it's not a commercial business area. There's truck stop 5 miles down the road to park trucks. I get it, but it's not right. And if he's got 18 acres, look how close it is to my house. Why isn't it closer to his house? I just don't get it. And talking about the trucks do drive slow. I haven't seen the trucks drive fast through there, but some of the personal vehicles, there's a white Jeep that has torn through there fast, and I'm not the only resident that's noticed it. So I'm just totally against it. The road isn't built for 18-wheelers. One's going to get stuck in monsoons. We're not going to have access to our house, and who's going to maintain that road? You know, it's not a maintained road. It's going to be destroyed. So, and it's not meant for 18-wheelers. So I'm opposed to it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Pat Shank. Pat Shank. So which one are you here for? What's the name of it? Thank you. Oh, I may have these. Is Lori Odell? Is that also for number 4? Rafael Gonzalez. Your address, please, sir.
3259 West Londo Lane. Rafael Gonzalez. I happen to live in that house that has all those trees around it, which is just on the north side. And, I have different reasons here. Person was speaking about liking the area. One of the original, there's about 11, 12 lots there that all built homes. And I think I'm the last one of the original persons that built there. We built there because we like the area so much. All we have is surrounding mountain views. And now, as you'll be able to see, all we have in the front of the house as we open our windows is 3 huge semi-trucks. That's not the reason we actually came to the area. My wife and I happen to have medical problems with our breathing. I can show you some pictures there of the amount of dust that comes up against my house from the vacant one. Normally, we didn't have any dust there with the natural covering of the grass and the desert. They can be windy and there's no dust. Now there is a lot of dust. There's whirlwinds of dust coming up, banging up against our house. I happen to work a lot around my house outside. I have to watch out now because I have to go inside because of the dust that we get there. We had originally the person that developed the area there had some CCRs, but I guess they're not strong enough to prevent something like this. All of these, the CCRs, I noticed that there is a common thing about the preamble or the start of the description, and it seems to be is the same thing as the descriptions done by the Cochise County for
Mr. Gonzalez, can you wrap up quickly?
Yes. Okay. Some of these CCRs are all basically the same as what your descriptions are, and that is to keep the value of the homes, the value of the properties without damaging because of something else coming in. And that's what I feel is happening here. I am looking forward to the value of my house being just destroyed right now by what is happening here.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, we take your point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this item? Did you fill out your speaker form, ma'am?
I did.
Okay.
I'm Diane Mazonik at 3245 West Acorn Lane, Benson. And I sent a letter in on the 23rd of April, and I don't know what has happened to that letter. It was sent in with my opposing check mark on your form. So I'm going to read my letter if that's okay with everybody. I've been out there 40 years. I love my home. I love the rural setting. I'm also one of 14 residences who come in and out of Acorn Lane. It's our only access road. And it's a dirt road. It requires private maintenance. Early last year, we had our road redone, finally widened to allow 2 vehicles to pass each other, had a nice dirt compacted base put on the road. It's finally a very nice road after all these years. And then again, as mentioned before, there's a wash that runs through that road, and it gets muddy there. The rainwater collects there. Several years ago, we had one semi that went through there and got stuck in the bottom of that wash. None of us had access to our house until that truck was pulled out. So the ruts that are going to be made from those 18-wheelers in that low dip area is, you know, who's gonna take care of that? We have, my husband used to and can't anymore, and we have one neighbor that has the equipment to grade the washboardiness out of the road. And I grant them, their trucks drive in and out very slow, very nice. But the drivers of those trucks, we've witnessed them driving in out of there like a bat out of you know what. I mean, and they're strangers. They're not our neighbors. We don't know who those drivers are coming in and out. It's just not, again, we're residential, we're not commercial. And then from my home, I live across the street from this corner house here, and my view of the Rincons is now interrupted with the semi trucks. I used to have a beautiful, beautiful view of the Rincons, and now I can see trucks off to the corner. It just destroys everything I've had there for 40 years. And let's see, what else did I have? Anyway, I just want to say it's a long-established rural neighborhood, and we're not a frontage road. We're not a frontage road for commercial trucks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Chairman, could you get her name again?
Yes. It is Diane Mazanek.
Okay, she said her letter, I think we do have her.
I think we have her letter included in our packet.
Thank you.
Now, I also have a letter here from Sam Lorenzana. Did he want to speak? Or the commission has read the submitted letter?
Madam Chair, that was provided by the applicant before the meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have read that letter also. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this item? Hearing none?
We do have a couple of folks online.
Oh, we do?
We have Vincent Hausnecht. You'll need to unmute yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Vincent Hausneck. I live at 3230 West Acorn Lane. That's the house with the next to David's with the Quonset hut in the backyard. I don't feel I need to reiterate what David and Ms. Meserink said. Yes, that's a good view that you just brought up on the screen on the one with the tractor in the front. That's actually a good picture. The part that everybody keeps talking about is if you see where the blacktop comes in, right about a few feet where you see all the trees lined up, that's where they keep talking about that the semi got stuck a few years ago. That was my old neighbor that used to live there, or where David does now. And then that's where they're talking that if the applicant had waited until after being here through a monsoon season, would have learned that area gets very damaged just sometimes by almost regular traffic going through there. Like I said, I don't need to rehash any more than that. Like I said, I'm a supporter of semis. I work on antique ones with my buddies. But I agree with everybody else. It's that section of the road and then the road that comes across right in front of my home that I am concerned with the constant damage of these trucks. Like I said, had the applicant maybe waited a year, saw what the monsoons actually do to that section, they may not even want it. They may reconsider wanting to even drive their trucks through it. that's pretty much what I have to say. I don't have anything else to include that has not already been brought up by my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the next one, Mr. Taylor?
We have Adam Messersmith. Please unmute yourself, sir.
It's actually Andy Messersmith. I'm under my husband's name. He stepped away for a second. I live at 3305 West Acorn Lane. We're a little further west from the property, down at the end of the lane, but I just wanted to come in and state my opposition and briefly reiterate some of the points that are important to me. For one, we recently bought this home, and property value and the restrictions and protections that were provided with the zoning and the deed restrictions were important to us. For instance, there's the houses have to be of a certain size. There's no utility lines allowed above ground. Things that kind of help the optics and preserve the tranquility and the views of the area. And this very much feels like it goes against it. I'm also very concerned about the road. It not being able to handle 18-wheelers up and down it. It's not made for that. It is just a rural dirt road. And with rains coming and everything else, that is a very big concern of mine. And I just wanted to make the point that the applicant mentioned that the trucks are gone throughout the week, but I haven't really found that to be the case. For instance, today when I drove home about 30 minutes ago, there was a semi-truck parked out there, and I believe it was there this morning as well. And it was also, there was one that left Tuesday morning. So while he's saying they're not there most of the week, I haven't necessarily found that to be true in the experience since they've started parking them there. And those are basically my comments, and I agree with everything else that's been said by my neighbors.
Thank you. Anyone else online?
Is there anyone else online that would like to speak on this docket?
Hearing none. This is the time for the applicant's response.
One of my employees' vehicle is a Ford Focus. The other one is a Dodge Ram. When it comes to dust, the plan is to just on the lot. I had scheduled with a local company in Benson. I forgot their name, but they already delivered 40 tons of gravel, but the total amount just for the lot was supposed to be 120, so we can cover everything to make sure that there's no dust. And if we have to maintain more than once a year the road, Monte Vista Trail and Acorn, then we're willing to do that as well. There was something. I'm sorry, I had it in my head and just so nervous. When it comes to my truck, has been there this whole week because I was sick Monday and Tuesday, and then I didn't want to take a chance not being able to make it back from California. So my truck has been there the whole day, and she's right. My truck is parked at my location. Now, when it comes to the other trucks, I have e-log books. I can show you that my trucks do leave Sunday, Monday. This Tuesday was something different. One of my trucks did leave on Tuesday, but that's rare. And if I need to, I can provide to you guys the background checks, everything from my drivers, so everyone feels at ease that we don't have any criminals or bad people that I wouldn't have. I have those people are like family to me. They come into my house. I have 5 beautiful kids. I wouldn't allow just anyone to come into my property or my house and my family. Like I said, we're willing to to maintain the roads more, plant trees, whatever you guys think is necessary. Um, and if anyone ever catches a driver of mine going over 5 miles an hour, please, you can call me. I can give you my cell phone number, and I will take care of it right away. I am very respectful towards my neighbors, and I'm hoping that they can see my side of the why I'm doing this. This is for my family. This is not something for that. This is how I provide for my family. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Who would like to ask a question?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Saunders.
you said you have 5 trucks and you have 3 drivers. So does that mean there's 2 there all the time?
No, sir. We only had 3 trucks total. There's only 2 drivers. We said 5 trucks, maybe in the future, maybe, but it's not any. We're not thinking about that anytime soon. So it's only 3.
And you leave on probably Mondays and you come back on Fridays. So there's no trucks there through the week.
No, sir. But there's special occasions where if someone's sick, holidays, truck broke down, just stuff like that.
Understand. But in general,
Monday through Friday, the trucks are not home.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I have
Mr.
I think
Montgomery?
or two.
Hmm?
And quite a lot of thoughts on the matter, actually, but I want to start by saying that nobody here is ever questioning your character or any of the people you would have at your property, employees and such. We know they are. I have a lot in common with you, as it turns out, being in similar businesses through my life and having trucks, not semi-tractor trailers, but construction trucks, in number, anywhere 6 to 10, plus trailers associated with those. And I couldn't always park them where I wanted to, but I wanted to keep an eye on them all the time, and we all do. Anybody that owns that kind of equipment wants to be secure with it. So I do appreciate your concerns a lot about security and wanting to keep it close to home, On the other hand, I myself have been inspired by this very county to move my vehicle somewhere else 40 years ago, and so I had to do that. I also was an opportunity to build a large shed, a hangar to keep them parked in, so they were out of sight and it looked nicer. And in my situation, it was lined with trees and fences and it looked okay. But I had to do those things. My own father in Chicago when I was a child had the same issues. He just couldn't leave his construction equipment here and there and everywhere. And we had to make accommodations that way. But I do appreciate you. You are a hardworking man, an honest man with a beautiful family, as you said. And I personally wish you all the best in the world. This might not be the best place to park your trucks. But I do know many businesses in Benson and many businessmen, and there are options in town, I think, where you could park your vehicles. We have, on another note, Mr. Chairman, we have, with this application, sir, quite a few letters of opposition. We get opposition from time to time, occasionally even a lot of opposition. But this time, and that's not our only issue to address. It matters if there's a lot of them. The case right before you, there was only one letter, but they didn't even say why. So I didn't give that a lot of credibility. This time there are many letters, and they are articulate and detailed, and they're well written, and there are several. Do you happen to know how many, Jim? 11? Okay. And then on the chart, it had 10 X's in adjacent properties. That's something we have to consider. We're required to consider that. And boy, I hate to say no. We all hate to say no to applicants who come here and want to get on with their lives. I think at least in your case, there are other options nearby where you could park your trucks. I'm hoping there are, and you can keep going. But the letters describe in detail why this is not a good idea. The road, the weather, the mud, the noise, the dirt, you know, all of those things, which we have to address all the time here. So while I really am hopeful for you and encourage you to keep going, you're good for Cochise County with your business and your family here and all of that. That's really, really excellent. I just hope you can find somewhere else to park your trucks. And that's where I have to go today. Chairman, I think we're done with that. Is the zoning right now eligible for that? Or would that have to be altered to accommodate the vehicles out there?
The RU4?
Yeah.
With this special use, that would be acceptable.
Okay. That's what we're looking at. Okay, I'm done.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, I just got some comments. You know, there's over 800 miles of dirt roads in Cochise County. And in those 800 miles, we have all kinds of vehicles traveling through. And now we have this road, and everybody's convinced that it's not suited for 18-wheelers. But none of the people that I heard from are road engineers making assumptions. We can get anywhere in the county with trucks, but now this little piece, when was the last time somebody, or how often do 18-wheelers get stuck in that wash? I heard of one instance, you know, and that can happen anywhere, you know. So I think we can go two ways. There's some improvements that need to be made to the road to have the county engineers say this is acceptable. And it's like a lot of other roads that we have in the county. It's been widened. You show a lot of willingness in surfacing the road, that kind of thing. So there's possibilities there. I admire your mission. I think eventually it will provide the economic impacts that maybe that little community needs. Everything changes. We've seen changes in this county from residential to everything else and vice versa and all that. But you have neighbors. The issue is that you have neighbors that don't want you to park the trucks in your lot. Something about blocking the view of the mountains. Well, if you planted trees, would they complain the same way? I don't know. But that's a tough nut to crack. I don't know if you deserve to have 11 neighbors that are upset with you because you're making a living and you're working hard to do that. But I know that there's a lot of, Cochise County is a big place. There's a lot of places, and probably cheaper than where you're at now, that don't have these issues. I, like my colleague, would like to encourage you to keep going. We need young people that are going to come in and respect the landscape, the wildlife, and provide positive off-site benefits. I think you can do that. But I don't know how to get rid of the 11 or 12 people that are upset because you're blocking their view. In Cochise County, dust is a way of life. You're going to have dust no matter where you go in this county. If you don't believe me, just look outside right now. And we have to get used to it. You can find dust in your canned goods some days in Cochise County. But I also would like to encourage you to keep up with the business. I know it's a tough way to make a living and it wears you out and all that, but you deserve to find a place where you and your family can prosper and be happy. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Anyone else? Mr. Limbach, anything?
No, pretty much everyone has expressed I mean, I'm concerned with I don't think the infrastructure of the road is adequate. And I do take very seriously objections of the people that have lived there for years and decades. I don't dismiss it as, they don't know the structure of a road. And I don't personally believe that having those trucks in that established neighborhood is the right place. That's my thought.
On that note, Mr. Taylor, was there a discussion of a road maintenance agreement? Is there one existing? Could it be augmented?
Madam Chair, thank you for that question. I believe there is some sort of a maintenance agreement. The road is maintained by someone. We had included a condition which would require the applicant to take additional measures based on the impacts to the road, which would include up to grading the road. The term as needed is very nebulous and can mean a lot of different things to different people, but we at a minimum would ask that the road would be maintained and graded at least once per year.
And that would be made a condition of this?
Yes, Madam Chair.
What about adding a culvert? Has anyone talked about adding a culvert to the problem area? I don't know if that would make any difference. I haven't driven over that area in a long time.
Looks like a pretty wide wash to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to throw that idea out there.
it could be done.
Okay. Are there any other thoughts?
I'll offer one more thought then. As I say, I myself was inspired by Cochise County 40 years ago to hide my trucks, okay? I had 6 or 8 or 10 of them in the trailers and everything. And it looked like a parking lot. It wasn't supposed to be there. But what I was able to do was build a large building, a shop, and put them in there, and everybody was happy. You could build any kind of structure on your property bigger than 3 semi-tractor trailers if you wanted to, with appropriate permits, And if that were the issue, the building would block the view as much as a truck would, or trees or fence or anything else. It may be an option for you, though. And as far as maintenance of the road, that's very important, getting in and out of there, as we can see. And the neighbors are concerned. Again, I mean to harp on it. You do have 10 or 11 neighbors surrounding the property. We have to consider their input on this,
Thank you. Ms. Mazanek, I saw you, but I'm sorry, the public portion is closed. So thank you anyway. This is the end of commission discussion. Mr. Taylor, your summary and recommendation, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor, staff recommends approval of docket SU 2508 to allow tractor trailer parking with the following conditions. Condition 1, no more than 5 tractor trailers on site at a time. Condition number 2, idling is limited to startup only for a maximum of 10 minutes. Condition 3, trailers must be empty and truck trailer washing is prohibited. Condition 4, truck parking areas shall be covered with 2-inch gravel to reduce dust. A special use modification is required for any new structures. This condition is in reference to Commissioner Montgomery's comments about if in the future there were additional structures to support the parking use, that would require modification. Condition number 5, native drought-tolerant trees shall be planted along the east and north property lines to reduce impacts on adjacent properties. Condition number 6, the applicant shall grade Monte Vista Trail and Acorn Lane at least once per year. The standard conditions relative to permitting and modifications have not been altered. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I would now like to call for this motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
I move to approve docket SU 25-08 with conditions of approval recommended by staff. The factors in favor of approval constituting the findings of fact.
And a second. Mr. Martzke. Thank you, sir. Is there any further commission discussion, Mr. Martzke? Mr. Young?
No.
Or Ms. Pickett? Nothing?
Considering the residents of the area, I am much like these two men, I can, commend you for what you're doing, but maybe this isn't the best place to park your trucks. And I've also lived in the place I lived for the last 40 years, and I'm pretty on a dirt road that is maintained by the county, but I sure would hate to have a number of trucks, semis coming up and down our road, and I'm going to have to vote no.
On that, I now call for the question. Ms. Fickett, nay?
Yes.
Mr. Limbach?
No, I believe the infrastructure is inadequate, number one, and number two, I don't believe parking these trucks in this established neighborhood is appropriate.
Mr. Montgomery?
It pains me greatly to have to deny this application, vote no, on the terms that we're discussing with the trucks and the traffic and the road. But I know there are options, and I know you are a hardworking man, and I relate to you on that effort because I always was too in the same field. There are adjustments you can make, and I hope that you can and will. But with all of the surrounding neighbors in mind, I have to accommodate their desire. So I have to vote no.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Young?
As well, it's hard, but I have to vote no as well, just due to the lack of the infrastructure. Living on a non-maintained county road, I know how difficult it can be at times.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez?
I have to vote yes. I think that there's some options that not just this family could benefit from their facility, but also the neighbors. I think a culvert to resolve the issue of the wash would benefit the whole community and improve the infrastructure to the point that you can accommodate both needs, the residents and the truck yard.
Thank you. Mr. Marksky?
I vote yes too. Basically the same thing. There are options for them to take to correct these type of things. I lived with a dirt road for a few years. We finally got it paved, but there were options before. We could control dust. So there are still options of things that can be put on to help control dust.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough little decision here, but I need to vote no, but I do encourage the community to get together and try to work out the road, the improvements or whatever could happen on the roadway.
Thank you. And the chair also votes no. Again, encouraging your business. What a hardworking family. But this is a neighborhood, not a commercial area. So chair votes no. And the noes have it. This motion fails.
What was the score, please?
6-2.
Okay. Thank you.
An individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or online at cochise.az.gov. Thank you.
I might make one suggestion. You could create a special district in your area. I know there is at least one in your area that's a special district, and it's a road improvement district. And it's an area in your area that is not maintained by the county, but they have created a special district, and they all pay in to a pot and have a board of directors and have the road maintained in that manner. And that could be one option for you.
Thank you, Ms. Fickett. I would like to take a very quick break, 5 minutes at most, okay?
Done.
Isn't Yes. It's your maybe shorter. Sure, because you can concrete but how many stages are out there? I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission back to order.
Are we ready, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Next up is docket CPA 25-02 and RZ 25-04. This is called Kings Highway Industrial. Applicants are requesting rezoning of RU4 to light industry. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Thank you. What is your name?
And I will yield my time to my partners who are online and more articulate than I am.
We'll call on them when the time comes. Thank you, Ms. Gardner. Mr. Taylor, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for dockets CPA 2502 and RZ 2504. These are concurrent requests for a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezone of approximately 369 acres from RU4 to light industrial. The applicant is Arden Arizona LLC. The properties are located along Kings Highway west of Douglas. Those would be tax parcels 4083, 4004A, and 004D. The plan amendment request is to change the designation from rural to developing and the growth area category from D, rural, to growth area B, developing. The zoning amendment, again, would be from RU4 to light industrial. The properties are currently undeveloped, and the proposed use of the properties in the future is for warehousing and storage uses in anticipation of the completion of the new port of entry west of Douglas. And the properties are located approximately 2.5 miles west of Douglas, south of Highway 80. This shows the current designation of the parcels. What is being requested by the applicants, the developing designation, is in place to the west and to the north of these parcels. And this would be the growth area category D. Again, these parcels are adjacent to properties that already have that growth area category B. And the zoning map shows that the property is zoned RU4, as are all surrounding properties. The heavy industrial zoning, that's the Phelps Dodge property to the east. That property was rezoned back in the 70s. And there's some sporadic general business zoning along the north side of Highway 80. So a little bit on the port of entry. This docket is not specifically related to the port, but I thought some background information might be useful. The project area for the port is about 80 acres. It will be located about 4.5 miles west of the existing port of entry. James Ranch Road will be the alignment, and that will be up to Highway 80. The port is going to probably create a fairly significant amount of development relative to warehousing and storage. Construction is anticipated to start in fall of this year, around October, with substantial completion by the fall of 2028. And there's a couple of links to the county and Douglas websites. There's a lot of other websites available as well, state and GSA. The federal website also has information on the project. The applicant has provided a site plan or a concept plan showing these buildings aren't exact location-wise, but basically showing the outline as proposed of the warehouse uses. So this would be Puzzy Ranch Road, viewing east and west, as well as Kings Highway. This would be viewing to the south and to the north. This is a viewing to the southeast of with a rough approximation of highlighting the property. To the sign, the road sign on the left-hand side, to the north of that is the Border Patrol facility. This is another image viewing to the southeast, showing the very limited development of the area now. This would be viewing to the west. Unfortunately, it was a little bit windy and some of the images didn't come out as well as I'd hoped, but for frame of reference, to the far right is the Border Patrol facility. And one last image viewing west with a rough approximation of the property boundaries. Some very brief descriptions. The rural land use designation, as the commission is aware, it's basically sparsely populated areas with large lot sizes and large expanses of private and public land. Prominent agricultural uses. The developing would be more of a non-rural type of growth with a mixed use designation. We would expect to see a combination of residential and non-residential development pattern there. And it would be a transitional development pattern, as this location is, that would require periodic reevaluation. Category D, again, low growth rates, unimproved roads, limited infrastructure. Category B would be areas that would be built out due to some sort of market demand. Otherwise, they would remain in their stagnant condition. Since these properties are located adjacent to properties with the developing category already, it would be an appropriate change. There are 6 criteria within the comprehensive plan as proposed. 2 of those comply, 3 would not be applicable, and 1 would not comply. And the one that does not comply with the comprehensive plan amendment request is substantial property owner support. That would be I guess you could say, a coalescence of property owners within the area that feel that the existing plan is, the plan designation is inappropriate and not representative of what's on the ground. Factors in favor of the plan amendment. Again, these properties are adjacent to multiple parcels with existing developing and growth area B categories, which is what is being requested in the amendment. The application complies with 2 criteria, and 3 of those factors do not apply. The plan amendment would facilitate a rezoning to allow commerce-related uses associated with the new port of entry. Factors against, again, the application does not have substantial support from nearby property owners, and staff has received opposition from nearby property owners to the plan amendment as well as the rezone. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate rezoning requests. 14 factors would apply to this downzone. And obviously for the compliance part, the regulations are in place. The development would have to comply with applicable zoning regulation requirements, subdivision requirements if the properties were to be subdivided into a proper industrial park, as well as the miscellaneous floodplain regulations and all the other development standard requirements with the county. For the rezoning, all the applicable factors would comply or partially comply with conditions. There would be limited offsite impacts due to little residential development. The concentration of residential development would be along Puzzy Ranch Road. There are 6 parcels there. I believe 5 have been developed with single-family residences. The rezoning would allow land uses that support the new port of entry. And the rezoning would also create a potential development pattern that could lead to a new employment center within Cochise County. Factors not in favor, again, opposition from nearby property owners, particularly those on residentially developed properties. This is an exhibit demonstrating one of the conditions that we're asking for is for right-of-way dedications along Kings Ranch Road, south of Puzzy Ranch Road, for a portion of the property, and then an intermediate area just south of Puzzy Ranch Road that would lead over to James Ranch. That larger section that travels east to west would be to allow an intermediate industrial road that otherwise would not be, it wouldn't be practical to the south as you get closer to the port because James Ranch Road will be very limited access. And anything further north is kind of pointless because Highway 80 is there. So this would be the better option as opposed to having any truck traffic that needed to go from Kings Highway to James Ranch or vice versa for whatever reason. Instead of routing those vehicles up to Highway 80, this intermediate road would be in place. The applicant met the citizen review requirements of the zoning regulations, mailing letters out on 21 March. And staff published a legal ad, mailed notices, and posted the property between 11 and 16 April. Staff mailed 30 notices to property owners within 1,500 feet. Again, that 1,500 feet is required because of the plan amendment. 12 of the property owners are public agencies, either county, city, state, or federal. We did receive 2 responses in favor and 3 in opposition. And one of the opposed comments, that property owner has 2 properties along Puzzy Ranch Road. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of dockets CPA 2502 and RZ 2504. We are available for your questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. This is the time for the applicant's statement.
Madam Chair, thank you. My name is Michael Marks. I live at 561 Gimlet Ridge Road in Bentonville, Virginia. And in the interest of time, I'll keep my comments very concise. The request that is presented before, that is on the floor today, has been developed very closely in concert with the Cochise County Master Plan. We are all aware that the port project is a collaboration of federal, state, county, and city authorities and represents a tremendous influx of resources already just in the construction level, but does pretend, I believe as was mentioned earlier, to become an employment center and does dovetail in with the ongoing plans that already exist for the area. Simply put, we are not an agent for change, trying to push a change. We are responding to changes that have already happened, and that the port is coming in. The demand already exists on paper, and we are working to meet that to what we believe will be the greater betterment of the entire county. We've done everything possible through this process to coordinate with the county, with the city, out with the Border Patrol authorities, and have received very gracious concurrence and support of these efforts throughout. We recognize it does have an impact, um, to a handful of people, and we regret that, but I'm not sure that as the gentleman said earlier, change does happen. And I think with nearly $1 billion of investment coming in between the port and a lot of the collaboration efforts, that change is inevitable, and that the good coming from that change will likely be a prevailing consideration. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Marks, what is your title with the company? I'm sorry I missed it.
Oh, what was that?
Your job title?
Just a co-owner, ma'am.
Co-owner of Ardent, Arizona.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is the time for the public hearing. I do have requests to speak. Lori Odell.
Not very good with this, B.
That's all right. Tell us your name and address and then just speak.
Lori Odell at 3313 West Puzzy Ranch Road. And I am the newest homeowner on Puzzy Ranch Road. I moved down here from Missouri less than a year ago. I love my piece of property. It is quiet. I've never lived in the city. I've always lived in a rural atmosphere. And I really do like it. I open my front door and I've got mountains on 3 sides. It's quiet, and I just have more questions than I do about anything else. My south property is going to be against the proposed project. And I am all for progression for the port of entry to come in. But my question is our safety. When warehouses and stuff comes in, there's a chance of, is this going to be a 24/7 operation? Are we going to be having truck traffic, the noise, all day and all night? How close are them buildings going to be to our back fences? Because I live farther back on my property than anybody else does on Puzzy Ranch Road. And, that's a concern of mine. Along with warehouse and storage, there can be prospects of crime. Our security, is Border Patrol still going to be looking out for us? Because I can go a mile in any direction of my property and I can see a Border Patrol truck. I walk down the road every morning to take a walk over to 80 Highway. There is usually a Border Patrol truck there every day. What kind of security are we going to have to keep, crime, whatever that might be, might be associated with all this coming in? The lighting, I'm sure there's going to have some type of warehouse lighting. Is that going to keep us up all night long with all the bright lights? I'm all for the border coming in, but I would rather have it over on the other side behind the Border Patrol facility where there's no residential there. And guess my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Shank, please.
I'm Pat Shank, address 3401 West Puzzy Ranch Road, Douglas. And what I have to say is that the request for rezoning will put my entire west property line, which is 40 feet from my living room window, into the industrial warehouses, in addition to the entire south property line of my place. So I'm the first house when you get off of Kings Ranch Road and turn onto Puzzy Road. So I am at that corner, and that's why I share all that property line with this potential rezoned area. I don't have any objection to rezoning the large property west of Kings Highway to light industrial. We need that for warehouses if the port is eventually built, but not at the expense of all the homeowners that live on Puzzy Ranch Road. The noise and traffic and, of course, the Arizona dust, all that accompanies the warehouse area is unacceptable and unwanted. A visit to Nogales will will enlighten anybody in regards to the negative impacts to the neighborhood. My property value will plummet if this is approved. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
You bet.
Is there anyone online?
Is there anyone online that would like to speak to this docket?
Is it Helfrich? Helfrich, come forward, sir. You have 3 minutes. Name and address, please.
Stephen Helfrich, Studio Architecture, 1303 F Avenue, Douglas, Arizona. I moved down here about 5 years ago from downtown Phoenix. I'm a registered architect for 30 years. I've had my own firm. I've done, beginning of my work in architecture, I work for a large architecture firm doing planning and design. And I watched Phoenix develop for the past 30 or 40 years. I'm not against the port. I just think I would like it to be world class. And that is not world class, the site plan. There needs to be a comprehensive drainage plan for the whole area. And we need to deal with the contamination of the sites. And in my world, the performa is like this. You're going to end up with parcels around 5 to 10 acres. If you take a 5-acre parcel and you multiply it by 43,560, you get about 270 square feet. You take 25% of lot coverage, which means a building of about 55,000 square feet. And the rest of it is parking, landscaping, water retention. I see no landscaping or water retention in this site plan. And I would ask you to now vote to continue this so we can take a comprehensive look at the whole area and come up with a decent master plan that works for everybody. The property owners that are residential, unfortunately, you're just in the way. You're just in the way. Well, no, you will rezone it to commercial, industrial, and then you take that money and you find some place that's not in this huge.
Mr. Helfrich?
I bought my own. I bought my own property. I'm renovating the hotel in downtown Douglas. That's where my expertise is existing building codes and how to renovate old buildings. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Also, the general plan for Douglas, the new general plan that took them 20 years to do, does not reflect this. In this plan, it's still ranch land. And I would like to see a consistency because eventually Douglas will annex this, or that's the plan. will annex this land, and I think the land use should be consistent through your process and City of Douglas's annexation process. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone come online?
We have several people online, but nobody's raised their hand to speak.
Okay. This is the time for the applicant. Are you coming forward to speak?
Yes, ma'am. I can't see what you're seeing. So are you addressing somebody there or asking us to speak?
Mr. Maloney, just hang on a second. We have a speaker in the room.
What is your last name?
Frank.
Come forward, sir, and state your address. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Frank Ambriz or Francisco Ambriz. I live on 2154 12th Street in Douglas, Arizona. I'm an owner of some property in the vicinity on Kings Highway. And I'm a rancher and farmer out there. And my concern is, according to your legal descriptions that you have here, that gentleman here, and they're describing a parcel on section 17. Is that correct? Or is it on section 18, the subdivision or the rezoning?
Sir, are you referencing the right-of-way dedication?
No, that's section. The township and range and sections. 17, that's where Puzzy Road and Kings Highway come together. If you follow it going west, there's section 18. Where is the development? Either on 18 or on 17, because these people here are saying that they're going to have the backyard of the development going, and that is on section 17.
It's both, sir. Take a look on the, does that answer your question?
Okay, so these people here, it would come down, then it would be on section 17 too, or no? The development. On 18, I can see it taking off toward the west. But according to these people here, they're going to have, for that development, they're going to have all that developing for the rezoning. My question is it partial, is it portion of 17 and 18, the subdivision or the rezoning?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then they're going to build the roads too on Kings Highway
Sir, this is just a hearing to change the designations.
for the general plan?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then the Board of Supervisors will get the rezoning. That's where some of that information
Yes,
should
sir.
be going.
You're,
Yeah, I did this for,
you're beyond our scope.
I did this for 30 years. He knows me and then Jerry. So, okay,
Thank you,
thank you
though.
very much for
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, who's online?
Mr. Maloney, go ahead. Mr. Maloney, go ahead. You'll need to unmute yourself.
No, I think we'll move
To be
forward.
sure I'm clear, sir, you mean Mr. Maloney or Mr. Marks?
Maloney.
Fair enough, sorry.
I think we'll move ahead at this point. This is the time for the applicant to respond. Mr. Marks, do you have response to the comments you've heard?
Yes, ma'am, very briefly. I do understand the impact of change. I do believe, as the gentleman, the architect said, that change is going to happen. It is inevitable. To the person who spoke to the fact of suggesting this would impact land values adversely, I can tell you, I am not a land appraiser, but the assertion that was put forward that if your land was rezoned concurrent with the same this, that you will find that your land value will be up significantly. And I'm sorry, I know the idea of saying, get a large chunk of money and go build a better place somewhere else is still moving, and nobody wants to do that. But the notion of relocating, we don't have the choice in the sense of saying the market driving things like warehousing, the money goes literally by the foot that they have to travel. So to be located immediately adjacent to the port means that is the optimal land for things like warehousing. So to put it farther up north on the other side of the CBP, things like that, there will likely be more up there, but there will absolutely be zoning. There will ultimately be development here. It's too much money coming in, too big a project, affecting the entire county and the entire state, that I'm afraid that change, absent anything any of us can say, is likely going to happen. So my heart goes out, because that is a hard thing when you see a quiet world changing. But I think the business reality of the port makes that an inevitability. Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Marks?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's addressed everything that I had.
All right.
Hi, I'm just going to add to what Mike said to address what the architect said. This is incredibly preliminary. We would, of course, take into account that there's floodplain. We would, of course, take into account water retention, water runoff. We've also met and spoken in person with Border Patrol leadership, and they know this is coming, and security was part of our conversation with them, for sure, and being a good neighbor in a commercial setting. So, and I hear you guys. I do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. Mr. Marks, anything else?
No, only that just to touch on. So law enforcement and security is actually sort of a big part of my career. And if the concern, if anything, the Border Patrol will be more engaged with the area than before. We had a very warm discussion with there, and we're exploring avenues in which we could support some of their issues in terms of how to access certain areas and things like that, and some areas of collaboration. But I think in terms of security and comfort, you will find that the general conditions are far safer once this is in place, and you won't see any kind of situation of now feeling alone or not watched over.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. It's time for the commission discussion. Do we have any questions for the applicant or staff? Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes. Mr. Marks, I have some questions and some concerns. Question number one, who owns this property right now?
Sir, the property is owned by Ardent Arizona, and we have the owners of that are on this call now.
Okay, so it's bought. It's a done deal, right? As far as
Yes, sir.
property ownership. Okay, I don't see a comprehensive study that shows, for example, hydrology, the outside impacts. Those washes that go through this property start in Mexico, go north, then east, and then go right through your area, all the way to the Whitewater Draw. I don't see that being addressed anywhere. The other thing is your wildlife impact issues are not there. You're in a very sensitive and fragile landscape area, especially with wildlife, which is a growing issue and concern with most landowners, ranchers, and farmers, being that close to the border. So there's a whole community of people that are very concerned with that kind of stuff. What is your source of water? Are you drilling wells out there?
Sir, my understanding was that that part of the whole port project, that there were utility lines that were coming all the way out to the port, which crosses right along the edge of the property.
The Border Patrol's been trying to find a reliable water supply for quite a while. Most of the water they found significant levels of arsenic in there. I don't know if you want to use that.
City of
doesn't
Business
sound
is
like- no,
bringing out
sir.
water.
The other thing is this,
Yes, sir.
what are you talking about when you say it's an employment center?
Sir, so the notion that the business that will be going on here will create jobs for people in the local area. So you're talking about when you're putting in warehousing, you're putting in this type of stuff, a lot of people you need then to support and work in that business. So we would be creating jobs. We're already exploring coordinating with some of the educational institutions out there to create things like apprenticeships and so young people that want to go into a particular area, if there's opportunities to coordinate with the schools and the businesses to then create work study type opportunities and things like that. So it is a generator of commerce, I guess, to say when we say an employment center, it's a place that's going to be building and bringing in jobs.
It's a good concept, but it's early. Can you give me a number of approximately a ballpark figure of how many jobs that would create?
Oh, sir, I'd be throwing a dart. I couldn't give you a sense exactly. Only that I've been involved in places where this kind of thing has happened before, and it's been a significant boon to small rural communities. When you bring in any kind of large business, it starts creating the need, whether that's for drivers, whether that's for security guys, whether that's for people working in the facility. Everything that every business needs, from secretarial and administrative support all the way to executive support, you're first and foremost to looking in your immediate area.
Well, the last 15 years, we've been talking about the port of entry, and many groups and organizations have come down and told us exactly what you're saying now. How wonderful the world's going to be once you're in place. We've yet to
Well,
see
sir,
that.
I mean, hey, I can't speak to what happened for the prior 15 years, but I can tell you we're scheduled to break ground on the port in August. So my hope is, and truly, sir, my sincere hope, because I want these benefits for everybody.
One more question.
And all I can do, yes, sir.
One more question. This is a binational port, right? You got Mexico and the U.S.
Yes, sir, it is.
Can you
Yes,
tell
sir.
me a little bit about Mexico's position in regards to this port and your plan?
Sir, Mexico has kept their cards very close to their chest with respect to, we understand it has been referred to as a mirror image plan. So you're going to enter their port from the south side, go through their processing, cross through what is basically the gate at the border, and then all the security up on our side. But they have not released a great deal of information, other than obviously the footprint is going to be relatively matching. But we do know that there's a lot of business interest in securing land all around the port on their side, presumably for the same reasons. You're going to need the same warehousing, the same everything to support the U.S. federal emphasis that they're putting on nearshoring and onshoring. So the sense is it's going to be a very similar, but I'm afraid I'm not privy to many specifics on their plan.
Have they at any point in time mentioned or conveyed support for this project?
In terms of what, sir?
That
As
it's going to
in-
be, they're for it, it's going to be a good partnership, that kind of thing. The way we see all these presentations about the border, the ports of entry, but nothing about Mexico. And when you visit with Mexico, I don't get the feeling that they're as supportive as you think.
Sir, I can only tell you that the documentation that I've seen and the statements that I've heard from Mexico is that they're all in and driving for it, but I'm not in a position to demand information from them, to get specifics.
Well, Douglas and Agua Prieta have always had a good relationship, and that information flow would be very beneficial and would probably avoid a lot of rumors and stories and that kind of thing. And you think that somebody you are spending a lot of time and money, and probably publicity would help you, but we need access to that, and we don't have it.
Mike, can I chime in? Two things I want to respond to, Mr. Gonzalez, in regards to utilities. The city of Douglas is bundling all the utilities to include water, sewer, Wi-Fi, broadband. It will all be brought out all the way along Highway 80 out to Cochise College down James Ranch Road, and it will also loop on the northern part of our piece and back up. Their initial intent was to go farther north, but there's a main gas line they had to avoid. So that part has already been offered. I did sit with the mayor of Douglas and the mayor of Agua Prieta at two different ADOT presentations. Mexico's all on board with this. And all of the people that have been engaged from the beginning, and I've been engaged in this with Mr. File for 18 years because we saw that this was going to happen at some point and there was a need for it. So I've been in Cochise County since 99. I'm invested in this, very much so, and want to see it done well. And want to say that after almost 20 years involved in this, that it's a very premier, well done, considerate project.
It sounds great. It sounds just like what I've heard the last 15, 16 years.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really not convinced. One more question.
Sure.
What is it going to cost to bring all of those utilities from Douglas to James Road?
That would be a question for the city of Douglas, sir, but they already know that number.
And it's already in design.
Yep.
Well, good. Glad to
Yeah,
hear
this
that.
is Jackie Watkins. I'm the county engineer. James
Hey,
Ranch
Jackie.
Road is already in design. We have a $4.4 million grant to have that road. ADOT is designing it. The city has been designing utilities for the last 2 years, including water and sewer. Water and sewer will be brought, and the sewer line will be brought down Kings Ranch Road to this new road that's going east-west over to James Ranch Road. That is in the design and acquiring right-of-way to let those utilities come in. Those utilities will be in before 2028 when the port opens.
Jackie, where will this water drain to from blacktops and rooftops and all that? Is that going to go to Whitewater Draw, or is there special facilities to that?
Overall hydrology study will be conducted. When the developers come in to do theirs, they will have to do detention between the pre and post, but the county and the developers will coordinate all the drainage that happens because there is flood zone on the southern portion of what you see here on the map.
That's correct. Okay, thank you, Jackie.
In addition, Mr. Gonzalez, when I spoke with Luis, who is the Luis Peralta, I believe, in Douglas, the engineering for the utilities was done on a 75-year basis for the build out of a 75 years worth. So they're not taking into account just phase one of what will eventually happen here because of the port. They're thinking long term.
What impact will this have on Kings Highway?
Well, there's going to have an impact, and it's going to have to be mediated. I mean, this development and this growth and this port and this traffic is coming.
It goes through Kings Highway North.
It would go through Kings Highway North if they came across at the connector road that has not been built yet, the one that was just mentioned. And the majority of the traffic would likely go straight up James Ranch North, but there will be traffic that will cut over on the connector.
There's a lot of people that are not in favor of that live on Kings Highway.
I understand.
So,
Mr. Gonzalez, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
Okay.
We're kind of at the concept level.
Okay.
Thank you. You are
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Mr. Limbach?
Yes. Most of your team members, this probably goes to Mr. Marks. Most of your team members are affiliated in some way or have been with the DOD and the military. Is there going to be any type of DOD and or military involvement with your future land use?
No, sir, we are not aware of any at present. This is to our understanding and to everything we've been working towards a purely commercial expansion or, commercial development of the property.
Thank you. And then the second question, if I read correctly, there's a proposed setback of 40 feet, which is very minimal. I'm wondering if your company would be receptive to expanding that to a minimum of 100 feet.
Sir, I'm not sure where specifically you're talking. I'm sure we would be open to discussing anything, but I would be taking a guess, not having a plat in front of me to see what specifically you were talking about.
Oh, Mr. Taylor, can you remind me where that, am I correct? There's somewhere there's a 40-foot setback on the plan along the area where the homes are, the private residences?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Limbach, there is a minimum 40-foot setback when adjacent to residential. We're recommending a condition to add some additional landscaping along those buffers. The commission can recommend a larger setback than is required by the zoning regulations.
Would that require an amendment to the conditions?
It would require an amendment to the conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you finished?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to pick up where Mr. Limbach left off. Mr. Marks, you expressed great sensitivity to the people that are living there, and I feel their pain also. I'm wondering, can you postpone development in the area adjacent to those homes? And can you plan a phased build out, so to speak, so that they are the last to be impacted by an industry feel? And then in addition to what Mr. Limbach said, yes, we'd like to greatly increase that landscape separation by those homes.
Right. So I can tell you that just by the nature of business will grow and build and will almost certainly be phased, but it will grow from James Ranch outward. The closest pieces of ground to James Ranch Road is going to be the absolute preeminent focus. So I think just sheer by business necessity, it would follow that. And I mean, it's a big piece of land.
Yeah.
And that growth will not just happen overnight. And we can certainly, just discuss the idea of how do we further insulate everybody from, sound and sight and try and make it a more attractive situation.
Yes, sir. I think that would be the right community thing to do. It's like trying to stop a freight train here, and I really feel for them.
Oh, it is. No, I do too. I would not be happy, but I would tell you that once they get a sense of what I believe this is, the impact this is going to have on the land values, the alternatives may seem much, much happier.
Yes, we take your point on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Montgomery, do you have anything?
As a matter of fact, I do.
Okay.
I would say that Mr. Mark's presentation was very comprehensive and was answering my questions as I was thinking of them. And that was a good presentation also. It's good. I know.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. We quickly addressed two concerns by one of our residents there about lighting, worried about lighting. There are existing lighting codes, of course, already in place for Cochise County. Can't say what that would look like in 10 years, but it's there now. And as far as security with the Border Patrol, we happen to know that Border Patrol agents along the entire border here are now bored to death. And that is a good thing. And I will assign that to a certain concept. And that is in place for quite a while.
Yes, sir.
So I hope that can assuage your concerns a bit. Not a lot of opposition there. We know this project is already in place, and it seems like it might be slow in moving along. Probably is, but this commission 2 terms ago approved the port of entry here, and this project that we're looking at today. Could we just go to the development services rezoning factors? Has page 19? Yes, there you go. 15 factors one of them not applicable and all the rest of them comply. And they do address things like water and landscaping and all the other factors. And really, what we would be approving here is to go ahead and do this. But before one yard of concrete is poured or any structure is made, permits would be pulled and have to comply with all of the permits. So I have no doubt that that would happen. Everything would fall in place. As always, when there is development, it gets in some people's ways. It's happened to me many times. But this is the future. I mean, the future is now on this. And I can tell you from testimony of people I know in the highest places of government, with all the money associated and the power, this is happening. And it's going to happen. I have been urged strongly to either help or get out of the way because it's happening. I don't have, and that's outside of this building. I mean, in other venues that I participate. So I try to think of these things as an opportunity rather than as some unhappy venture, you know. But again, it's a done deal. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. And expect a lot more of it in the coming years. The Douglas area, that whole, you can go back to the maps if you like, folks. That is the future, and it's on the way right now. So everything will be in compliance with zoning and permits. And I don't think anything can be built that is out of compliance. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Anyone else?
I would just like to say that my grandmother always said, change is something we all resist very strongly, but it's the most inevitable thing that we have in our lives. Today's not like yesterday, and tomorrow won't be the same as today. In my community, we have faced in the agriculture industry a lot of change. Has not impacted us as much as this port of entry is going to impact the Douglas area. And my heart goes out to you because the wheels of government roll slowly, but when they start rolling, it seems like they don't really care who they roll over. And I hope that this company would work with you and preserving what they can of where you live and your peace. But if I have been told that there is expected to be one truck per minute come through that port of entry, and it's not that far away from you. Yes, you're going to have a lot of truck traffic. And when you multiply that over time, it's, yes. So my heart goes out to you, but I don't see any way of stopping it.
I will add one thing concerning the roads and the infrastructure from the port and this whole surrounding area will have to be improved and expanded. There's no doubt about that. And people who own property along those roads see that as an opportunity. It's been awful quiet along those roads for 150 years, but it's going to get busy. And you can do what you will with that, but it is an opportunity for all kinds of business along those roads. And I don't look forward to it. I will suggest that Supervisor Gomez from Douglas, generational citizen of this area on both sides of the border, is intimately familiar with the details of this project. And she will tell you, I don't have to tell you, but she'll tell you that she supports it wholeheartedly. So it's a done deal. It's just a matter of time and how fast it goes. I am finished, finally.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor, could we have your summary and recommendation, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor, staff recommends forwarding docket CPA 2502 and RZ 2504 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval with the following special conditions. Right-of-way dedications per exhibits A, B, and C, which are attached to the staff report. A 20-foot landscape buffer is required at the time of development along all property lines shared with established residential uses, and those would be the residences we're discussing along Puzzy Ranch Road. Condition 3, conduct a wildlife survey and consider Arizona Game and Fish Department recommendations during final site design and development. I won't read all of these, but we've included these conditions in the past. They're soft conditions. They're very difficult for the county to enforce, but we strongly urge the applicant during the development to take these recommendations into account. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I think with all the comments I've heard that could you go back a slide to the conditions? I think the 20-foot landscape buffer, we need to raise that at a minimum. And in addition, ARD needs to take into consideration some of our requests for additional buffering from the residences. But at the very minimum for tonight, I'd like to see that raised to 100 feet.
Yeah, I agree.
Madam Chair, if I may, just very quickly. There are development standards associated with the requested industrial district, as well as development standards separate from those that are contained within the growth area category. The minimum setback, as discussed, of 40 feet would potentially be insufficient. This case is scheduled to go before the Board of Supervisors on June the 3rd, so I would request that the applicant, based on the Commission's recommendation tonight, work with staff to try to craft maybe some revised conditions to address those residences before we get to the Board of Supervisors.
Yes, sir. Well said.
We can certainly do that.
Thank you, Mr. Marks. Ms. Gardner? All right, then. Proceed. Were you finished? The motions, please. I'd like to call for the first motion.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Mr.
The
Montgomery.
first one. It is Madam Chair. I move to recommend approval of docket CPA 25-02 to the Board of Supervisors, amending comprehensive plan designations of 369 acres from rural to developing and from growth area D to growth area B. Factors in favor of approval constituting findings in fact.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Saunders. All right, let's take a vote now. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Ms. Fickett?
Aye.
And Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion for the comprehensive plan amendment passes. I will now take a motion, please, for the rezoning.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Martsky?
I vote to recommend approval docket RC 2504, the Board of Supervisors, with special conditions recommended by staff. Rezoning tax parcels 108-34-0048 and 40-8-34-004 Delta from RU4 to light industrial. The factors in favor of approval constitute the findings of fact.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr.
For the
Limbach.
purposes of discussion after the second,
Mr. Montgomery?
could you please repeat the first parcel number? I think I heard it incorrectly. That's right.
Which one?
The first one, 40834.
408.
The first one, tax parcel 408-34-004 Alpha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the second one was 40-8-34-004 Delta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussions? Call for the motion. Mr. Saunders, please.
Aye.
Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Ms. Fickett?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Mr. Young?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
This motion also passes for the rezoning. Both of these items will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval Any person not agreeing with this action should attend that Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. And also, again, to reiterate, Mr. Marks, Ms. Gardner, please work out with staff some improvements to that separation from the remaining residences. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience in this item. At this time, I'd like to move back to our call to public. We've had a very patient gentleman in the audience. I have told him he can speak for 3 minutes. Please state your name and address, sir. 3 minutes.
Dan Baker, etusa.org. I was just going over, hello everyone. How are you? Sorry to take up your time. I know you've been very busy tonight. Thank you for taking on this. But I did notice one of the applications in the past. I brought two for reference. And on there, if it says hazardous materials, this one put yes, which is the correct answer. And this one, which is, I think the Three Sisters one, and they put no. Currently, everyone's aware of the OTE battery energy storage fires, correct? Where it burnt up for like weeks. It does have hazardous chemicals in there. We need to, because it's a serious note, if any of these do catch on fire once they're getting built, we're all dead here. We won't have a meeting. They will suffocate us out. Between these two facilities, we're looking at about 3,000 acres. That would, and I speak with the LEPC across the state. I speak with many people on this. And our method here is still to let it burn, because I'm not going to put my life in, and I'm sure none of us, you know, once they go thermal runaway, it's pretty much over with. I put down everything that we should follow, you know, because there is things we can do to mitigate this, and that way we're not just up in flames, you know. So, and I don't want to throw anybody under the board. If we can look over this, because once they're built, it goes thermal runaway. We're basically all toast down here, you know. And that's this way you all have the information I have. I know somebody might have dropped the ball or didn't oversee it, but they do have hazardous chemicals in there. So I don't know if lying on the application null and voids an application. And if that's the case, we can just lie on the applications, then why are we even voting at that point, you know? That makes sense. But again, thank you for your time. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Taylor over there, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker, for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an action item this evening. Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws revision. This agenda item serves as a follow-up to a work session between the board and this commission held previously. Although much was discussed of a general nature, there were 3 topics that surfaced for further action from that meeting. They were planning and zoning meeting attendance requirements, in person, Teams, or phone. Appeals of special uses and opposition to planning and zoning rezoning recommendations coming before the Board of Supervisors with new information. Number 3, public opposition to SR 174 rezonings to RU4 in antiquated subdivisions. Today we'll review our bylaws, last updated in 2012, including item number 1, meeting attendance. Appeals containing more information than P&Z heard will be addressed at a future meeting and should result in changes to zoning codes. Item number 3, SR 174, is included as a work session today. I'd like to open discussion regarding our bylaws at this time, and we are seeing them on the screen. The first yellowed segment is regarding meeting attendance. If you could all take a look at that change suggested. It says, commissioners shall attend meetings in person, but may attend via electronic means not more than once quarterly. The commission chairman shall notify the board whenever any member is absent from more than one regular meeting semi-annually within any consecutive 12-month period. So that's a change from what was crossed out. The commission chairman shall notify the board whenever any member is absent from 3 consecutive meetings. So that is a change. That's a little heavier on attendance requirements. Comments?
Can I speak to this? This is Robert Young in Douglas.
Yes, Mr. Young, please.
Yes, and I'm sure this is me. This might be directed at, but when I became part of this board, I was told, you can participate via meetings. My work schedule, on Wednesdays, it's very difficult for me to get off early because I cannot leave before my teachers. My teachers have to work till 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. So for their supervisor to be leaving early is frowned upon. I will go and talk to my superintendent and see if they'll allow this, but that is the reason I have not been able to participate in person. When I was part of the Board of Adjustments, those meetings were at 6 o'clock and it was easier for me to get there.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Since you are impacted by this, is there anything else?
No, like I said, it's going to have to be a discussion. I just thought as being direct supervisor of people that I am saying must stay till 4 o'clock on these days, I need to be present for that as well. So, but if I speak to my powers to be, I believe I can get this worked out.
Thank you, sir, for that input. Who else?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Limbach?
I'm sensitive to Commissioner Young's position. However, I do believe that the community deserves to actually see us in person for a minimum number of meetings a quarter. And we're discussing a lot of very sensitive and major issues. And I just think we owe it to the public to be here in person as frequently as possible.
I would agree with that. Somehow or another, I've managed to find myself sitting on a number of commissions and boards across the county, and a consistent rule of attendance for all of them has been attendance required in at least once every 3. In other words, if you miss 3 consecutive meetings, you're dismissed from that board. Now, that is a part of Robert's Rules of Order as well, and I think it's fair here. I think even in other Cochise County government boards, that's the case. But electronic attendance is also eligible, but I agree with Mr. Lingbaugh that the public has a right to know who they're talking to and who's making decisions on their behalf or in opposition to them. And this is a nice table we have here. Can we fit 9 people at this table? Okay. And I think we should, at least as often as we possibly can. Not always. There's always reasons, that you can't make it every time. But you should be able to make it a minimum number of times. And perhaps assistance would be available. I'm just saying, we were appointed at this commission by our Board of Supervisors for each district in which we live. And we are known to our supervisors. And I think they wanted us here. So I would like to keep us here. But the public has a right to know. So let's figure out a ratio, if you want to call it that. How often must you attend in person?
How about this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this? This is what we need to talk about.
Okay. The commission chairman shall notify the board whenever any member is absent from more than one regular meeting or semi-annually within any consecutive 12 months. Yeah, the consecutive part applies. Quarterly or however you want to break it down. That was my question. Quarterly, is it the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, starting in January, February, March? That's a quarter. But like February, March, and April is also a quarter. It's 3 consecutive months. So you want to determine that, right? An
Well,
actual quarter.
Unless twice a year.
Mhm.
Isn't that what I'm reading? Member is absent for more than one regular meeting semi-annually.
Yes.
So that would be twice a year.
Yep.
It's a pretty strict requirement. I like it. But it
I think it's a fair one.
is.
I think it's a little harsh because some things do come up and twice in 12 months is
It's not a lot.
We're only meeting 12 times a year.
No. And you do have the option then of appearing electronically for maybe one of those.
I think 3 times, you miss 3 meetings, like most boards, most governing bodies, that's a rule. You're out.
Yeah, that is the standard from Roberts.
Yeah.
Mhm. And would that be just during the year
Yeah,
or consecutive?
I think the whole year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because you want to make it 3 out of 12, no matter where they are,
Yeah,
not consecutive.
no, not consecutive.
Okay.
So I think that's fair. You can come up with a couple of excuses, but
Yeah.
3 you're pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest we do, you miss 3 meetings a year out of the 12 meetings. You miss a quarter of them, yeah. You're no longer able to do your job.
So can we get a verbal acquiesce on that?
I mean, is that in person or is that
Yeah. It's
a combination of in person?
If you're not here 3 times in a year, you shouldn't be here the rest of the time.
physically in the
Yeah,
building?
physically.
Okay.
People need to, like you said, they need to know who you are, that they feel represented and all that. And you need to develop these relationships and massage all this information that we are exposed to every day, every meeting.
So I think the first sentence stands. The second one should be changed to 3 and leave out the word consecutive.
Right.
Chairman, would you read it the way you want it to be?
Commissioners shall attend meetings in person, but may attend via electronic means not more than once quarterly. The commission chairman shall notify the board whenever any member is absent from more than one regular meeting. No,
Or more than 3 within.
more than 3 regular meetings within a 12-month period. Can you type that, Mr. Taylor? Will you fix that for us for next month's vote?
It's going to be a test.
Yeah, there's going to be a test.
Oh.
All right, we generally acquiesced. Everybody's shaking their head, yes?
Yeah.
We're good. Let's try and move on. Number 5 is just it's just a sentence understanding. I thought it was weird, so I took out
I
those
do
words.
too.
You
Yeah,
like it better without it?
I do.
Okay.
I agree.
No, that's just a clerical thing. Let's go on.
It makes me have to read it 2 or 3
It
times.
did. It did.
Through when it's like that.
And then this is just a point of procedure. It says right in our own bylaws that initial motions shall be made in the affirmative form in order to open the discussion of a docket. I had a member of the public come to me 2 different times and say, why aren't you making a motion to open discussion at the beginning of your procedure? So my proposal is, Matthew, can you go up quite a ways to the list of our procedures?
It's down, right?
No, the
Down.
other direction,
The other direction.
almost to the end.
Right there.
No, keep going. That's the wrong one.
Oh,
Order of proceedings, the number 3. Yeah.
oh,
There we go. Order of proceedings. So number 2 should really be, we call for the motion to open the discussion, should it not?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is
am
another
I wrong? But isn't
change.
that the way in Robert's Rules of Order, doesn't it state it that way?
It does.
I just
indeed.
had an argument with
Mhm.
a board member on the fire district, and I won. You want,
How
so
did
you make the motions
what did you
before you
say?
talk? Because I said we were doing it incorrectly by not making the motion before we had the discussion.
So can I?
Yes, you do.
This language for that,
Yes,
unless it's typed down here somewhere.
it might be.
So letter I would be, a motion will be made regarding the discussion and approval of the docket, comma, and a vote taken following deliberations.
If there's a second, then we can discuss this.
Well, and what this does though is put it on the chair to reiterate at the end of conversation, at the end of presentation, I'm sorry, it's getting late, and discussion at the end for the chair to reiterate the motion and then call for when
Chair
does the
can
second come in?
You can reiterate all day if you want. A motion must be made and a second to that motion that opens it for discussion.
There you go. That's what I was.
I think 10 and 11, if they were swapped around, might make it correct.
See, and I think 11 should be number 2.
If there's discussion before a motion, that's just a bunch of blah, blah, blah going on.
Right.
It's not part of the
Well,
record.
that's what we do every meeting. So we need to
No,
fix that.
we have a motion, and then we've always had a second to our motions, which allows for conversation before the vote.
Right.
Okay, if there is no second, that motion goes away. It's
Okay,
done.
that's not at issue.
Yeah.
So technically, I guess since this was taken word for word from that number 11, my motion would be to push it from 11 up to 2.
Yes. I think that will solve it.
You're probably right.
I think that will solve
We
it.
got nothing to.
We don't go
fight
through
time.
quite this much stuff.
I'm actually,
This is the one that gets like having to vote 10 votes before you get to the docket.
I keep reaching for my mouse. Matthew, are you grabbing all this? You're grabbing our meeting? We want number 11 to go to number 2.
Madam Chair, basically, the commission would like to mirror what the Board of Supervisors does. There's a motion and a second, and then the proceedings begin.
Yes, sir.
And then the motion is reiterated before the vote.
Yes, sir.
So is that a copy and paste from their instructions?
We'll try.
So we might.
but I'm still, nowhere in any of this is the second step after a motion, which is a second. We always do that because we have to do it.
Yeah.
But there has to be a second before you go on to talk about it.
Correct.
Yes.
So that should be
Motion
in
to
there.
die without a second.
That's right.
It does-
It automatically die.
So how do we do number
In
in 11?
I hear it.
Second required.
Yes.
And if you don't hear a second, it dies.
Yeah.
Just say, do I hear a second? That's it.
That's right.
Automatic.
So second that, yeah.
But Robert's saying it needs to be written in this.
Well, I think it should be.
And Matthew is,
Yeah.
he has that language.
You can say a motion will be made and seconded,
There you go. Perfect.
and then we go on from there.
I have my Robert's rules out in the truck, but I'm not going.
No, we're with you. We got it. There are just 8 of us trying to sort this out.
I'm gonna go blind sometime, try reading that stuff.
Oh.
All right, shall we go back up and see what we missed?
Just mostly corrections.
Oh, and again, that was just a
grammar. Yeah.
There we go. Initial motions, we've solved that. And then number 14, a copy of the updated spreadsheet of attendance is to be provided to the chairman. Wait, go back down, Paul. You guys had it and then you moved it. Stop. Thank you so much. One more time. A copy of the updated spreadsheet, this is regarding attendance, is to be provided to the chairman at each meeting. Customarily, we were not doing that, so I said this needs to be changed to may.
Need a little breathing room, huh?
Yeah.
Regarding the list, you know, we're gonna see some changes in commissioners. We've seen some already. Can we get a list of the current commissioners and their phone numbers
what you were doing earlier?
Look at right here. I have an answer straight out.
Well,
of the
yeah,
press.
little more,
Our names are.
Not our phone numbers.
yeah.
You're a public servant, you got no choice.
Just type our names and our phone numbers, that's it. Everybody's got it. You got them somewhere, but we don't have them. So a new member comes on, we don't go up to them and say, hey, what's your name and number, man? I need to know.
We need to bring this up again, okay?
Okay.
At another time.
Can I get an?
Have we covered everything in the bylaws that we're trying to?
Yes, Madam Chair.
You know, I'm sorry, bylaws can be amended whenever we need to do it.
Mhm.
We don't have to schedule that way out.
And so they will prepare something like this with a strike through and a rewrite, and we will vote on it next month. Tonight was just discussion and input. I do have one thing, it's just an administrative thing. When you move these bylaws into the new zoning regs,
If you leave me a voicemail, I'll call you back.
the letters disappeared and they're all numbered. What are we going to record? The old recorded document is alpha. Got a lot of alpha in it. Is that all going to go away and match what's now digitized in our new zoning system?
Yeah, there was a change a couple of years ago that basically switched all the numbering around. We'll update that.
Yeah. So our new recorded bylaw document will reflect what's in our digitized zoning.
Correct.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Updated bylaws soon.
And be the new guy on the block. I kind of enjoyed getting to read through all this because I don't just go on the internet and read stuff.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So our commission meetings are recorded, aren't they?
Yes.
And available online for a little while? Forever or how long?
The internet is forever, Commissioner Montgomery.
They're eternal.
That's right. That's right. My buddy.
So this action item is completed by discussion. We will see a marked up format next month to vote on. Thank you very much, staff. And we have one more item. No, we have another item. We have a work session, gentlemen.
Let's do something without a motion.
One question.
Just one thing.
Sure.
Yes.
This may not be something we're going to discuss today, but the appeal process.
Yes, and that's why I wrote here that on conversation with Ms. McLaughlin, appeals of special uses in opposition to planning and zoning rezoning recommendations that come before the Board of Supervisors with new information will be discussed and amended inside the zoning requirements because there's so many dates and deadlines. So we will do that at another time,
Okay.
not in the bylaws as we originally thought.
I just didn't know if that was an issue you were.
It
I think
is.
that's a good move.
We're continuing on with that.
Yeah, that's right.
And we put in our bylaws that maybe the chairperson can bring coffee and some snacks.
Yes.
These meetings can carry out from here.
Pizza.
We'll never get to breakfast, but yeah.
If a work session takes us past 7 o'clock, chair has to bring snacks.
Just ask the supervisors for a little pocket change.
All right, Mr. Taylor, let's hear about SR 174 R25-01.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the Commission's request, we're bringing back a potential text amendment for the SR 174 zoning district. And some of the background is we've had a couple of controversial rezoning applications. I'll try to keep these 115 slides as quickly as possible. We've had a couple of rezoning applications to RU4 recently in Sunsites number 2, which has elicited a lot of response in opposition. So we put together this work session for the commission to consider, and we'll bring it back as an actual voting item in June with the bylaws. So a little bit of background on Sunsites 2 for this one, the different types of zoning that folks request to engage in the opt-out program, some of the issues and options, as well as feedback from the commission. So Sunsites was platted back in the early 60s. Obviously, it's not materialized. I'm not going to go through all the data here. You've already probably seen that and digested that. Lots of tax liens, lots of undeveloped parcels. Sunsites itself is more than 2.8 square miles. There are 7 different units within Sunsites. This shows a portion of Sunsites number 2. There were holdout parcels within Sunsites that were not included in the plat because they were already owned under separate owners. They didn't want to participate. They didn't want to sell their property off to the developer at the time. So they've remained much larger than the typical 1 acre lots that we would see within Sunsites. This is a location map showing Sunsites in a couple of those large parcels. Most of those are actually much smaller parcels, but large tracts of land that have retained the RU4 zoning surrounded by SR zoning. The parcels with tax liens, of which there are many, and that's a common theme that we hear on these rezoning applications where folks want to engage in the owner-builder program, but they have to acquire several properties to meet that 4 acre minimum, and this is one of the mechanisms that they use to do that. The zoning map, again, just demonstrating the predominance of the SR district. There is some intermittent neighborhood business zoning that was implemented later in the 1970s, anticipating the need for small-scale commercial or personal service uses that never materialized because the development itself did not materialize. These are the addresses of the existing parcels that which we have record of a single-family residence. Again, we're talking less than 10% of the lots within Sunsites. This table identifies the key driver before the request for the RU4. RU4 allows mobile homes. It allows the opt-out program. It allows structures before the principal use, and it allows structures exceeding the size of the principal use. And that's why we get all the applications to RU4 in spite of our best efforts to encourage folks to consider SR 174. For some folks, such as recent applicants, it just simply doesn't work for their development plans. SM 174 is a district that's rarely asked for. It's very uncommon. That also would be a zoning district that folks could request for the opt-out program, and of course SR 174. For SR 174, that's basically a rough approximation of the square footage to equal 4 acres. There are about 1,680 total acres that are zoned SR 174, and those are focused in Sunsites in different units, not just Unit 2. But there's also an enclave in Whetstone that was rezoned en masse several years ago to SR 174. And as the last bullet, I think is the most important point to mention, SR 174 is the most restrictive 4 acre zoning, which is not ideal for folks that want to participate in the owner-builder program. RU4, very similar. 90% of the county is zoned RU4. And it's the least restrictive. Again, it allows a variety of housing types. There's no particular order in terms of accessory structures and principal structures or the size of those structures in relation to each other. So I'm not going to really read all the issues, but again, Sunsites is basically SR. SR 43 is the most common zoning district we see. There is some SR 22, which is less than a half an acre lot for zoning. So since this is Sunsites was developed prior to the county's implementation of zoning and subdivision regs, it is an antiquated subdivision. I'll skip the second bullet because we'll talk about that in a later slide. And again, just to summarize, SR 174 allows the opt-out, but it restricts to single-family site-built homes, no manufactured homes, no mobile homes. Accessory structures cannot be built before a primary structure, and larger accessory structures. I think there was a previous application where a gentleman wanted to build a barn, but it simply wouldn't be feasible for him in SR 174, which is why he proceeded with RU4. Again, significant opposition in a couple of dockets recently within the past few months.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, an applicant might appeal to this board, for instance, to reverse that order on some strange reason. Whereas they could build a secondary structure, for instance. Would that not just require a vote of the board?
Well, how good are the supervisors?
That's a codified requirement of the zoning regulations that the commission has a lot more latitude in special use authorizations because of the conditions. We're pulling a more intense use into that district, but when it comes to the rezoning itself, those provisions stand, and the more likely board that would have purview over those decisions would be the Board of Adjustment, because they are the body, being a quasi-legislative body, they would have the authority to grant relief from provisions within the zoning regulations. But even in this case, that's more of a use, not a figure that we would attach like a number to. There's really no such thing as a use variance. So the best option would be to amend the zoning regulations. as opposed to handling it piecemeal, case by case, just for consistency's sake.
Just imagine. Could be with approval.
What could be altered?
The order of construction project.
Mm-hmm.
Says the residence has to go first, but we've seen it where it hasn't. I know people. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not supposed to occur in the, see, it's not a special use. That's just not something that comes up as a special use to build a big barn before.
Sure, and Madam Chair, the zoning regulations are explicit in the allowed permitted principal uses, accessory uses, as well as special uses. That would not fall under the special use category. So the best approach to take for the interest of consistency for the county as well as the public would be to amend the zoning regulations to ensure that it applies to everyone equally.
Neighborhood opposition would be greatly reduced.
So on the other hand, I know nothing.
Yeah.
So continue on, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The three options before the Commission today for your input, we can just leave the zoning regs as they are. To your point, Mr. Montgomery, future downzoning could just include a condition that would not allow manufactured or mobile homes in rural zoning. Again, we would steer clear of the accessory structure issue. Number two, amend the zoning regulations, allow for accessory structures to be constructed before the primary structure and to exceed, that should be the size of the principal structure, which is prohibited right now in SR 174. The final one would be allow for all of the above, but limit that to the antiquated subdivisions and not make it countywide. There are some areas where having a big barn in SR 174 may not be appropriate because there's an established neighborhood character and you would give it a very rural or potentially an industrial or heavy commercial feel when it's already an established smaller lot residential development. So these are the recommended changes we're suggesting. One is to add a definition to the zoning regulations definitions to actually define antiquated subdivisions. And I'll just paraphrase. These would be subdivisions that were platted by the Board of Supervisors, accepted legally by the county, that predate zoning and subdivision regulations today, that are currently in effect today. And the second caveat would be that these are subdivisions that not only predate regulations, but they've really not materialized as actual developments. The odds of some sites developing into a full-scale residential would require significant amounts of infrastructure, not just water, but sewer, improved roads. It would be a very expensive proposition. And the fact that we see so many properties in tax lien would suggest that these aren't going to happen, that we're not going to see that kind of infrastructure in these areas. Secondly would be to just amend the regulations to mirror the language for some of the other districts, which is as long as a property has a minimum site area of 4 acres, consisting of 4 acres, and it's located within an antiquated subdivision, then we would authorize those accessory structures to be built prior to the residence, and they can exceed the size of the residence. And that seems to be the key component, whereas the opposition has been concerned about manufactured homes, the applicants are concerned about the primary versus accessory structure issue. So this would be the language that we would bring back to the commission in June, unless the commission has any recommended changes to these definitions.
Should there be a definition of exceed, which may be built prior to and exceed the size? Maybe.
I mean, how is there a cap at how much larger proportional?
Sure, we could change square footage. That would be more explicit than just saying the size. It could mean any number of things.
Because the inverse is happening now. The garage can't be more than half the size of the house. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Accessory structures can't exceed the size of the primary structure. So yeah, we could certainly clarify that.
They can't exceed it or half?
They
I
can't
thought they
exceed
could only
it.
be half as large.
There's an ALQ provision for accessory living quarters can't exceed 50% or 1,000 square feet of a principal residence.
Okay, so that's different.
You know, I'm okay with just leaving it as exceed, and then we'll take care of it when it shows up. It's not going to happen with every single piece of work that we're faced with. I think every now and then it'll come up and it'll merit some discussion, and we can, at that point, decide, hey, exceeds doesn't apply.
But if we define it now, wouldn't that eliminate a whole lot of arguing?
Yeah. Yeah, then maybe it wouldn't have to come up if we define.
Well,
Because we're going to be,
it may or may not. It depends. Different
No, because this will
situations.
take argument, and I will argue, because I don't like that rule. Who's to say your garage can't be 75% of your house? What if you have a big truck? I mean, or an RV? It's just arbitrary. That's what I stuff up.
I don't want square foot number on something like that.
Right.
They're all different. They're all different, and people come here with a certain lifestyle in mind. As long as they're in line with the objectives that we're trying to achieve here.
That's right. My hippie friend, Mr. Gonzalez.
That's right.
Very good.
I'll be what.
I mean, I want to be sensitive as well to the existing neighbors that have been there for 20 years.
Well, I think the issue is mobile homes versus regular houses. And
But don't you think the size and the scope and the height of a building matters too? I mean, you could, according to this, you could
well,
put
it does, but making regulation to govern all, I don't think it's the right approach. I think we can
Well,
take
I'm
it
not
one
talking
at a
about
time.
like micromanaging, but just some basic
Yeah.
guideline.
If I want to live in a barn, and some people do, and they remodel their barns.
Is that our job as a commission to define these numbers though?
I don't think
happy
so.
to do it, but
I don't think.
It's our job to advise the BOS.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not in the construction business.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about that modifying the word or replacing the word exceed or describing it a little more, not micromanaging, but some basic guideline on a restriction?
You can try larger.
My concern is that the sky is open and they can just build some crazy monstrosity, you know.
There are codes right now.
Well, they have to be customarily incidental.
Well, we gotta have faith in our staff also that this guy spends a lot of time looking at that stuff, and I'm sure he can filter it before it comes to us. If a guy's building,
We'll leave it. That'll be, they can be mad at you.
I don't know, I just think
They usually are.
it seems like it'd be easier on everyone if we kind of defined it somewhat.
but I'm confident that he can provide the guidance and the information needed before it gets to us. Yeah. So no, you can't do that.
Well, anyway, that's my thought.
Well, those dimensions would be for another meeting, because it'd take too long right now.
Yeah.
Well, let's come up with some suggestions.
Madam Chair, would you like to, in terms of just removing the word size and just say and exceed the square footage of the principal residence, would we allow those accessory structures to exceed the height of the principal residence also? Because we could just explicitly replace size with square footage and height.
Again,
Getting a little swamped mentally.
Most barns are taller than a house.
yeah.
Right, they had to come back in June for a vote by the commission. Yes, and it will go to the board as a text amendment.
I think we'll work on this just a little more. So
What do you think?
I can hear some differences here. We'll
You've
try
been
and
around here the longest.
put them all
Well,
together.
You
My
know,
thoughts are the correct.
principal use
I'd be
is real.
the whole thing up
What's
once.
the situation out of where I live right now, where we have a gentleman that does special catering for houses. you could have him cater a dinner to you. A funny thing about that is he cannot use his own house to make those things. They've got to be made outside of the house. This is health department. So if you go out there to my house, you go by his house, you'll see a complete kitchen out in his front yard.
Oh, we had to have a commercial kitchen.
Commercial kitchen in his front yard. He can't put it in the building he built because it is not equipped with bathrooms and so on and so forth. It's really an odd situation. They told him he can put it in a tent, but he couldn't use electrical refrigerators if he put it in the tent. He couldn't use electric freezers. He had to use portable, like a picnic thing, which is odd. But here's one regulation killing something that we should be able to look at. And,
Yeah.
and as far as this accessory structures, I think that's something that you see a lot of people wanting to do. They want to get a garage or a storage unit to store things in while their house is being made, while they're building a house or while somebody else is building it. So some of these things, I think, we've got to really look at what the use of it is, as much as what the size is. I agree with you. The size of my garage is not big enough to take care of my cars. So what do? You know, if you look at it, that I may not be like a lot of other people, but I have certain things that I hang on to that I just don't get rid of. I've got an old car, an older car. It's not old, real old, but it's one that was specially made for me by the factory to have equipment in it exactly like I wanted, and I don't sell it. Luckily, I have a second house on another piece of property.
The second
so
garage?
that car is kept at that house. And
But you shouldn't have to do that.
yeah, you know, it's an odd thing, but this is when you look at accessory buildings, what are they going to be used for? What is the use? The base?
That's why I think we should take them when they come up one at a time.
I kind of agree with you there. Let's take it up one at a time. Do we allow this? If it's allowed in this area, then it should be allowed, period. And we shouldn't just do the thing. We gotta.
So,
I think
Chairman,
we
I
gotta
think
do
you're
it
seeing
some way
unanimous
that
agreement.
No,
It's almost like a special.
Unanimous agreement.
Most people have a garage and it's got everything in it except cars.
You're right.
So, and they park 4 or 5 cars around their house. And then if they want to build a barn, there's issues with that, you know?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, the code is, the county has no business with what's in your garage. Now, again, if you're operating a food service or some health code thing, but otherwise, it's none of their business, and they'll tell you it's.
That's right. I agree with you.
And I agree with that. So.
I got tractors, I got farm equipment and all that.
Yeah.
And then there was some people from California came and wanted to buy property next to me. they had the audacity to come by my house and ask me if they were to buy that property, would I put all of my equipment inside of some facility, a barn or something? Come on. There's got to be some protection there saying, hey, welcome to Cochise County.
Good that they bought.
No,
Very good.
no, they didn't buy it.
That's on to another.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to push this forward, unfortunately.
I think maybe it's a good idea and we think about it and if in the middle of the night, I'll come up with an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, there's got to be a solution here. That last sentence, you have to limit it, otherwise you're going to have monstrosity
Yeah.
barns. You're going to have 10,000 square foot barns that are going to offend everyone. So you have to, it can only exceed the size of the principal residential structure by
Right.
something.
Like
Now, the other problem is you said that they can be,
Something.
and it also says that
You would have a thicket.
Yeah. Let me just make this one other point. It also states which may be built prior to the principal residential structure. Now, that's almost impossible to enforce. That size is almost impossible to enforce if you don't know what the principal residential structure is or will be. So we've got a real conflict here.
A divide here on this commission between rural and urban, city dwellers and the rural people who have more space by design. And if they want to use it, it's nobody's business.
No, but I mean, it is people's business if it's affecting them in a negative way. I disagree.
Well, we encourage people to be aware of the code, the zone they're buying into.
4 acres, man, how can that be an issue? Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, this, you could build a 50-story monstrosity according to this.
There's already a code for that. I think 30 feet is the maximum height. And as far as.
Well, then we could reference that code then.
Yeah, it's in there.
You know, when you build a hay barn, it's going to be 20 to 30 foot high. And this,
Well, I'm suggesting
it's just for hay. I mean, you know.
I'm just suggesting some reasonable.
Yeah.
But in residential zoning,
Oh, residential.
that's inappropriate.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're trying to nail this down to.
Yeah, because.
You have a situation too that I just built a storage shed with my house. And the first thing I was asked was, what actually are you going to do with this storage shed? Now,
None of your business.
Right.
my primary thought originally was to put my guns in there. And that automatically brought up another thing. And they said, well, your construction, you're going to have, are these guns in the safe? Yes, they're in the safe. They're in safes. So I was told my 4-inch poured concrete foundation was not suitable to put the house on top of because I was going to put them in safes. And the weight of a safe was not equal to a normal home. So I had to go to an 8-inch floor.
Yeah.
I have an 8-inch concrete floor. I haven't put my guns in there yet because it was taken over by my kiddies and the cat house.
Well, every city
have that.
Every city. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
yeah.
There's a lot of things coming up with these things.
Can we say, not exceed the size of the principal residential structure, comma, pursuant to.
Not everybody is,
The code.
not every woman is married to a husband. By
The established restrictions
Yeah.
are already.
Like just say pursuant to.
I got
Every city has its planning and zoning. Sierra Vista has. Doesn't
How many
mean
guns?
They have their own P and Z within the city limits that define all that stuff. Okay? So
And we define it also, the rural district, maximum height in rural districts for principal and accessory structures is 30 feet. And in SR 174, it's 30 and 20.
That's all I'm saying. Can we?
Let's reference those.
Sure.
Because that at least defines what is acceptable.
We're making it clear that it does not allow unlimited height. The other issue then is, do we want to cap the square footage in relation to the principal structure, or are we just going to stick with the RU4 language, which basically says it can be larger than, provided you have your 4 acres?
So on 4 acres, you can build like the gentleman from Canada wanted to do, a big old barn and a 600 square foot house.
No, I like that. I mean, personally, I don't like
If it keeps it within the SR 174, I think we've accomplished the purpose.
I don't know what upgrades or changes are necessary to the language. When every agency in the county has their own building codes. The city and so does the county.
We're basically, we're talking about
Yeah.
homes for
So he's just going to
members of your family.
reference
Yeah.
established
That's all.
site standards.
You should have known.
Yes. This gets to be a little bit too hard at this hour of the night. I think we'll look at it again next month and see if we can come up with a vote.
We might consider really an idea.
Yeah. And if you do, please communicate by email with Mr. Taylor during the month. Please enlighten him also.
When you wake up at 3 hours.
Complete, Mr. Taylor. Is there anything that should have been brought to us if Miss Christine was here?
Should we move on to the planning director's report?
Planning director's report, thank you.
Very quickly, we have 3 dockets scheduled for June. One is a contractor yard south of Sierra Vista on Keeling Road.
I saw.
Another one is another RV park. This would be east of Sierra Vista. And lastly, an off-site tasting room south of Wilcox. Those would all be special use authorization applications. And of course, we'll bring back the bylaws as well as the work session item in June.
Can you please repeat number 1 this time?
The contractor yard?
Contractor yard.
Correct. A contractor yard on Keeling Road south of Sierra Vista. Yeah. So those are the planned dockets we have, and then our interim director will be back for the June 11th meeting, and things will return to order.
We did well. With the agenda we had this evening, chaos was anticipated. It was a difficult agenda. I thank you for your patience. Meeting adjourned.